Woods. BoldRepublic.com.
I don't think I have to interpret those statements for you. They kind of speak for themselves.
The point I was making was not that my grandmother harbors any racial animosity. She doesn't, but she is a typical white person.
When ignorant folks want to advertise their ignorance, you don't really have to do anything. You just let them talk.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
The United States continues to wrestle with the legacy of race. And
I forgot he was black tonight for an hour.
I don't think I have to interpret those statements for you. They kind of speak for themselves.
Senator Reid was wowed by Obama's oratorical gifts and believed that the country was ready to embrace a black presidential candidate, especially one such as Obama, a, quote, light-skinned African-American, quote, with no Negro dialect unless he wanted to have one.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
It is a Friday. Bold Republic is on. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. You know the drill by now. Every single day you have open phones, but on Friday, it's a full 3 hours. Which means at any point during the course of the program, you can call, change the subject, interrupt me if you have to. That's how it works. 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. And as always, pretty much everything I'm talking about and more, you'll find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. So, okay. Yes, the IRS is the big news today. They've been holding hearings on this thing. Hearings that have been going on for hours. And you want to talk about a bunch of pompous jerks with no apology whatsoever. Now, when I say no apology, I mean...
What I didn't hear in that was an apology to this committee.
I don't think an apology is owed. Not a single email has been lost since the start of this investigation. Every email has been preserved that we have produced or will produce by the end of this.
You don't think the time period between January 2009 and April 2011 is relevant to this investigation?
It is a very relevant time.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. The letter we received from the IRS on Friday the 13th admitted that learner emails were lost for this 2.5-year period.
They were lost off.
But you didn't.
They were lost off our hard drive. We also would.
Let me finish. I'm not finished with my question.
This
and I'll
goes
give you an
on
opportunity
and on and on like this, but you heard no apologies necessary. We've provided every single email. What about the lowest learner emails? All right, again, pompous, arrogant, and I got loads of audio to play for you guys, which I will during the course of this half hour, because I want to drive home the point. I've talked to you guys about the culture of bureaucracy, and the IRS is another prime example of the culture of bureaucracy. They think they can get away. Now, you will be punished. This is the IRS, after all. You will be held accountable. You will be punished. You will be forced to reach back into records for decades. Stuff that you're not even sure if you remember anymore, or if you do remember it, do you even have the records for it anymore? And you must hold yourselves accountable to the IRS, and they will harass you. Okay, but the IRS, however, well, no accountability with them? No, they don't have to answer to you. How dare you question them? There's a guy, a congressman, I believe his name is. Yeah, Steve Stockman is his name. 36th District of Texas is where he is. Wow, Texas has 36 districts. Okay. Well, the Stockman bill, which has just been introduced, allows taxpayers to use the same excuses as the IRS is currently using. Now, one of the stories that we're going to go through today is, I was about to say Paul Ryan, but no, it's Rand Paul said today, which is something we already know, that Congress tries to exempt themselves from every law that they pass. We already know that. Well, in the meantime, so do the bureaucrats. They even try to exempt themselves from Obamacare. Remember that? Well, okay. So using the same excuses as the IRS uses, I put together a video about this just earlier this week.
Hello. It's the IRS. Sign up for the Affordable Care Act? Well, yeah, I did. You didn't get the paperwork. No, I understand. There's a fine if I don't, but I sent that information in. You didn't get it. Well, I emailed it to you.
Did you guys lose your email again?
Send it again? No, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Oh, well, my computer crashed, and I lost all my emails.
What do you mean, BS? Well, that excuse worked for Lois Lerner. Honey, I think we're going to be audited.
You can find that video, by the way, on my YouTube page. Just go to boldrepublic.com, and I'll read in just a moment Mr. Stockman's list of excuses that apparently you'll be, if this bill passes, you will be able to use next time you do your taxes. Right now, well, let's head over to the phones. Jerry wants to talk about the Washington Redskins. What you got, Jerry?
Well, it's not so much about the Washington Redskins, and
right.
I'm going to warn you before I proceed any further. I am going to say a name that I find highly offensive.
Okay, everybody out there that's listening, I would like you to take just a moment, crack your window in your vehicle if you're driving, grab a hold of the wheel. Okay, we're talking white-knuckle driving. Take just a moment, breathe, ready. Okay, Jerry, go.
Okay, I have a very good friend of mine who is Irish, and he's a really, really nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering when the ACLU is going to get rid of that horrible Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I mean, that's offensive. I mean, all Irish people fight? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say Nancy Pelosi. I just...
No. The offensive name is the Fighting Irish.
Yeah,
come
okay.
on.
Well, no, we went for Tim from Tampa called. Was it when this first broke? And I don't remember what day of the week that was. And we went through a list of school names out there. Fighting Irish, we didn't have that on the list, but obviously because all Irish people ever do is get drunk and fight. And then,
I mean, look at their little emblem they have. I mean, he's a little short guy wearing green with his dukes up.
Now you're making fun of angry short people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, once you start down, it's such a slippery slope. Once they start to, I mean, right now it's the Washington Redskins. I mean, you look at the Cleveland Indians, the Atlanta Braves, and how about the Florida Seminoles? I mean, is that going to offend somebody?
You think PETA would be upset by the Miami Dolphins and the Florida Marlins?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Or how about the? I heard this. Somebody was talking about this. Why don't we rename the Minnesota Vikings? We'll call them the Minnesota Seafaring People with Tempers.
Hey, wait. No, you just gave me an idea here. Here's what we need to do. If we should, and we're always accused of this. We complain, but we don't offer up a solution. Therefore, we need to come up with a bunch of politically correct, generic names for sporting teams. Something that would appeal to the pajama boys.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I got one for Washington.
Okay, yeah.
The Washington football players.
No, you see, football is a very, dangerous and violent sport. So, and then you're alienating people who don't have feet. So I don't think you want to go there. Yeah.
Oh, it's just that and then when I hear who was it, Harry Reid, get up and talk about how, I mean, we've got stuff going on in Iraq, we've got border problems, and you get Harry Reid talking about the most important thing on the agenda is the Washington Redskins football team. And it's just...
Well, what I get a kick out of is the guy, the Redskins name was actually given because they had a coach that was an American Indian, and when he retired, the team loved him so much they were able to get the name changed to Redskins. And the coach took it as a compliment. So, and there's even, I told you guys yesterday about it, there's a couple of schools out there where the majority of the students are American Indian, and the names of their teams, these are high school teams, are the Redskins is what they name their own team. And they consider it a compliment. They named it themselves. But no, that's what we need to do. Politically correct generic names that offend nobody.
For everybody.
Yes, we'll work on it. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what you name it, you've offended somebody. Naming a team the Chiefs is a compliment to Indians. Yet somehow someone's going to get offended over that. I don't understand.
Last time I checked, if you got offended by somebody, the person who did the offending doesn't bother them a bit.
No.
You know, I was always told if I was offended by something that somebody said or did, the only person's day it ruined was mine, because the person who offended me, it didn't bother them in the slightest.
You know, there's a phrase that I usually use in cases like this, which offends them even more, which is part of the reason I like to use it. Get over it. If you thought you were offended by the name of the team, wait till I tell you to get over it, and then you watch them go ballistic then. Works every time it's tried. All right, well, I'll work on those names. If you can come up with any generic names,
we'll make a list on Facebook.
We will.
For it.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, thanks for calling. And you can do what he just did, Jared just did. Interrupt me, change the subject all you want. It's a Friday, so it just doesn't matter anymore. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. So let's work on that for just a moment. Okay, any name, if you name a team the Chiefs, they're offended. Animal rights activists will get offended over Miami Dolphins. Okay, name a team anything, and somebody's going to be offended. And most of it's fake. And even if it's not fake, it's just a small minority of people who have some kind of mental disorder, and I mean that exactly the way I just said it. So, okay, some kind of a generic name. I was even thinking of why don't we name them butterflies, the Los Angeles Butterflies. But then who would you offend with? Is it possible if you named a team the Los Angeles Butterflies that somebody would be offended? I bet you somebody would somewhere, but I guarantee you this, though. Even if it offended nobody, what football player wants to work for a team called the Los Angeles Butterflies? No self-respecting football player. Now, if it was the San Francisco Butterflies, hey, sweet. Maybe a bunch of really sweet guys out there would. But I don't think, though, that most football players want some sweet name like that. It's got to be tough. Even if you name a team like the Packers, are you amazed that you should be amazed that I know that name, because I don't know anything about sports. You name it the Packers. Now, why the Packers? Well, that's what they did for a living up there. Therefore, if just the fact that people walk around with cheese on their heads during certain football games right away ought to offend people who are lactose intolerant. So no matter what you pick, somebody's going to be offended. And if you do pick some really generic, sweet-sounding name, let's take this a step further. What about those people, we've talked about them before, who are offended at the very idea of people winning and losing? You go to a sport these days with a bunch of young kids out there. You can't keep score, because if you keep score, somebody loses and it hurts their self-esteem. So think about this. Two teams get together, two rival football teams get together, and we're talking major league here, okay? And somebody's going to lose. That means the self-esteem of an entire city has just been demolished. Well, I'm just using their own words in this case. This is what they say about self-esteem when it comes to school. So can we play sports at all? Because sports are violent. The athletes earn a lot of money, and it's owned by a bunch of rich people. And they have names that are offensive, and there's winners and losers, and it hurts people's self-esteem. All right. So I'm not a sports fan, but in defense of sports fans, just tell them to grow up and get over it. There are people out there that like competition, and they like fun, tough-sounding names. And to name a team after some Indian tribe is a compliment. And if you don't think so, well, you can get over it, because it was a compliment. I tell people this all the time. Try this line. I know what my words mean. When I spoke the words, I was aware of what I meant by those words. So if I named a sports team that I owned the Chiefs, I intended that as a compliment. Now, if somebody else out there is offended by that, that's their mistake, not mine. Well, you're just a jerk. Fine, I'm a jerk. Get over it. And that's how I like to live my life. I'm really a nice guy in person, but I just don't I'm sorry, I just don't take to that kind of psychological warfare. Get over it, and I walk away and continue leading my life. Because if you don't, what you're doing is allowing these people to have control over you. Don't let other people have control over you. Now let's talk about nice people for just a minute here. And because we do need a relief from all of this. It is a Friday after all. Let me tell you what's been happening at the station here. I just can't help but to smile with pride when these people come through the door. So I told you earlier this week, been telling you for a couple of weeks now, about this sweet young girl in our community here in Gillette, Wyoming, that got a fungus. It got into her spine. And within 2 weeks, this little girl, cute little girl, wound up in a wheelchair, paraplegic. All right. Her parents need one of those vans with the wheelchair lift. On Sunday, Dalby Memorial Park, we're having a get-together. Now, already today, people have come through our front door. It's Campbell County Observer and American Standard Media. We share an office here. They've been coming through our front door with hot dog buns and drink cups and soda. I know you guys call it pop. It's soda. I mean, and the outpouring, people offering to grill for us. If you can donate anything, because this happens at Sunday, we're meeting at 11 o'clock at Dalby Memorial Park, which is also called the Fishing Pond, which is in Gillette, Wyoming. And we're going to be there all afternoon. I will be in the dunking tank. So, yes, you get to throw a baseball. It's going to cost you, but the money all goes for a good cause. So stop by the dunking tank. Take a shot. Take your best shot. I dare you. And I'll see you there Sunday. It's all for a good cause.
She's dreamed of this moment for a long time. All she sees is you and her diamond. All she hears is your question. But she's never dreamed this big. Not the way you dream. Not with the diamond you propose with. This is Bruce Marshall. Yes, she's dreamed of this moment and just how it would be. And you come along and propose with a diamond that even she couldn't imagine. Come see us at Marshall Jewelry. We'll help you find the diamond that's better than her dreams. Just like she is to you. Open 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it, guaranteed.
What are you doing to my truck?
Oh, honey, you need to advertise your business. Plant some specialty-made stickers with the new logo and all of your company information and...
Okay, remember when you tried to put lace curtains in the truck windows?
Well, yes, but you're on the road so much you need to touch a home.
Remember that long talk we had about when you put sunflower hubcaps on the wheels?
Okay, well, that was a bit over the top, but...
See, I appreciate what you're doing here, but I'd rather not have Smurfs on my truck.
But everyone will notice your trucks.
Honey,
And too much?
I'm still from the guy.
Sorry.
A4F Signs and Stitchers will help your business get the attention it needs. Vehicle wraps, signs, graphics, and more. Come visit them at the new location, 209 South Stockdale Avenue, Suite C, in the Black Hills Novelty Building, or give them a call, 307-217-2027. That's 307-217-2027.
Ah, the great outdoors. Good thing you showed up with everything you need for... You forgot what? All right, relax. Empire Guest House and RV Park has everything you need. 5 minutes from Keyhole, 20 minutes from Devil's Tower. It's one-stop shopping for all the gear you need and all the gear you forgot. Bait, tackle, camping supplies, boating, swimming supplies, firewood, ice, open every day, dawn to dusk. Call about their cabin rentals or ask about their RV hookup. Empire Guest House and RV Park. Call the office at 307-756-3454 at 115 Pine Haven Road, Pine Haven, Wyoming, or find them online, empireguesthouse.com.
Kevin, where are you taking me?
Keep your eyes closed. Okay, now open them.
Where am I? Am I dreaming?
No, you've been here before. This is Jack's Liquor and Bar.
It can't be. The carpet, the bar, the paint, it's so beautiful.
No, you're not dreaming, Tom. They've really spruced up the place.
I love it here. My old stomping ground has become my new hideaway.
When you're in Gillette, stop by the new Jack's Liquor, 302 East 2nd Street, across from Napa Auto Parts.
They also upgrade the bartender.
Hello?
It's your roommate.
Yeah, funny. I don't have a roommate.
Hi.
Where are you going? You can't just barge in here.
Why not? We share this apartment.
We what?
Well, the government might have given you this place, but I'm the one paying for it.
You are? Yeah, how do you figure that?
Ma'am, allow me to introduce myself. I'm a taxpayer.
You are? Wow. I've heard of you people, but I don't think I've ever met one before.
Oh, no, ma'am. We're just a small percentage of the population, but we pay most of the taxes.
So you're the one paying for all this stuff?
Yes, ma'am. I pay for your house, your food.
Electricity, my cell phone, my car, my gas?
That's why I'm here.
I still don't understand.
Well, you see, I pay so much in taxes, I can't afford any of this stuff myself. They've given it all to you. So I guess we're just gonna have to share.
Well, but
Look, where are the car keys?
Oh, no. I just bought that car.
No, ma'am. We bought that car, and I have to get to work so we can keep paying for all of this.
Oh, right. Over there on the counter.
See you at dinner. Oh, and since I'm paying for all this, I'm taking the master bedroom.
Oh.
Hello. Yes. I think Glenn is going to take your call next, but don't call him Glenn. He wants to be called Pasty White Guy. Oh, no, he takes it as a compliment. Trust me. Wait, here we go.
Back to the show. Back to Glenn Woods.
Back to Bold Republic. It is open phones on a Friday, which we do that every day in the third hour of the program. Okay, but on Fridays, you can change the subject all you want. Anytime you want. Interrupt me if you have to. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. So, okay, a guy named Stockman, a representative out of Texas, has put a list together, and this went along with the bit that we posted on YouTube just a couple of days ago. So the dog ate my tax receipt. Number one on your list of excuses that you can use for the IRS. He's actually passing this as a bill, by the way, which it won't go anywhere, but I wish it would. Let's see, convenient, unexplained, miscellaneous computer malfunction. Go with it. Well, that's what they say. And then when they say, well, we'll just recover from your hard drive, well, I had to destroy my hard drive. Traded documents for 5 terrorists. Not a bad one. This isn't going anywhere, but as a bill, I just sent him a Facebook message because as a bill, I admire this. Let me see. So the IRS gives you a call. They're going to audit you. You were burned. Wow. Okay, you were lost in the Yukon. All right. Left on the table of Hillary's book room. Well, you never find it there. Received water damage in the trunk of Ted Kennedy's car. Okay, now that's going kind of far, only because Kennedy's dead. So you're picking on a dead guy. And I kind of admire him for it. Forgot gun case sold to Mexican drug lords, which you, let me add, probably did right on the Arizona border, since you didn't have to cross over at any time. All right. Let's see. You all of your paperwork, all of your receipts, you were forced to recycle, according to the Green Czar. Well, look, the IRS wants you to keep your paperwork for what? Another 20 years or so? Aren't you supposed to recycle that stuff? Forced to recycle, according to the Green Czar. Was short on toilet paper while camping. And there go your receipts. And his final one, I think he saved the best for last. When the IRS comes to your door asking for all of your receipts, you just say, at this point, what difference does it make? I mean, honestly.
The federal government is massive, wasteful, and growing larger every year. It's time to downsize the federal government. The Department of Agriculture was established in 1862 and is responsible for operating federal policy on farming, agriculture, forestry, and food. Today, the department spends more than $150 billion a year. That's $1,300 per American family. The department is effectively a massive transfer program, moving cash from taxpayers to selected constituencies and establishing barriers to free trade, even trade within the United States. Many of the department's programs originated in the Great Depression, and the need for such a department is in decline. In 1900, there were 11 million Americans employed on farms and 2,900 employed by the USDA. Today, there are 2 million employed on farms and 93,000 employed by the USDA. The Department of Agriculture distributes up to $20 billion in subsidies to farmers and owners of farmland every year, and more than 90% of agricultural subsidies go to farmers of just 5 crops: wheat, corn, soybeans, rice, and cotton. And it's worth noting that farm incomes are typically quite high. In 2011, the average income in farm households was $87,000 a year. That's 25% higher than the average American household. And farm subsidies go to millionaires like Ted Turner and Mark Rockefeller. The government enforces cartels in products such as dairy and sugar, which enriches producers at the expense of consumers. It is corporate welfare at its worst. The dairy and sugar cartels are like Soviet-style central planning, involving price controls, production allotments, and import barriers. As a result, Americans pay higher prices for the food they consume. Raising prices for food, the department then subsidizes its consumption. The largest portion of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's budget consists of subsidies like school lunch programs and food stamps. Food stamps alone have more than tripled in spending since 2000, and oversight costs more than $5 billion a year. These programs have also given rise to rampant fraud. Law-breaking retailers have offered 50 cents on the dollar for food stamps, and even with more sophisticated debit cards, the government estimates that fraudulent payments cost more than $1 billion a year. Food stamps and food subsidy programs should be sent back to state and local governments so they can determine how much to spend. Agricultural subsidies should be eliminated entirely, and the Byzantine system of price support programs that raise prices and limit competition should also be cast aside. By eliminating or devolving these programs, federal taxpayers can save about $140 billion a year. For more information about the Department of Agriculture and other government programs, visit downsizinggovernment.org, a project of the Cato Institute.
So what's the matter, Senator? Flushing all that taxpayer money down the toilet, clogging up the drain again?
And how? And nothing works when the money don't flow.
And I bet flushing all that Chinese money really clogs the pipes.
Oh, with interest. Yeah, Chinese money's the worst.
Well, Senator, to keep that money flowing, why not try this new pipe cleaner? It's called Debt Bomb.
Debt Bomb?
Yes, Debt Bomb, Senator. With all the pressure building up in the pipes from all that money you're flushing down the toilet, well, there's just simply no flow. You need something to clear the clog. But don't worry, the pressure will eventually build up that you can just shove Debt Bomb into the toilet and everything blows sky high.
Yee! Oh, look at it go.
Why, there's nothing left. No, Senator, there's nothing. No economy, no country, nothing.
But you say that like it's a bad thing.
Endorsed by governments worldwide. It's inevitable. Debt Bomb.
Hello, you're a caller on hold to talk to Glenn Woods. Please be advised that talking to Glenn may prompt an IRS audit. This call is being monitored by the NSA. For your convenience, we will now give you 10 seconds to decide if you would like to hang up or risk hanging on.
And back in we dive. Bold Republic is on the radio, and every Friday at this time we like to check in with Eric, who works for I almost said Wyoming Watchdogs, watchdogs.org. Now it looks like you finally made it home. You've been on the road for a while. You've been covering stories. I'm just curious, Eric, where have you been covering stories?
Yeah, I was out in Denver last weekend, actually, not for a story, for some personal issues, but that's why I couldn't be with you. I was trying to get an internet connection, and my apologies to you and your viewers for not being able to be here last week, but glad to be back.
You'd be happy to know, though, that I do get some emails because there are people who like this segment of the show. What Eric does is give us, from watchdog.org, the Nanny of the Week. Now, Eric, I've talked about this before, but now you've brought another city into this. The first one I talked about was Washington, D.C., and this all has to do with a cab service with a cute little mustache.
Yeah, that's right. It has to do with Lyft, is the one with the cute little pink mustache, and then there's Uber, which has tried to model itself on being cool, I guess, or something. They like the black cars, you know, things like that. But yeah, I mean, this is a story that's been around in a lot of places, and unfortunately, it seems like more and more cities and even whole states are deciding that the government should basically be the enforcer for the taxi cartels and the taxi companies by banning people from using their cars to give other people rides and charging for it. Pretty ridiculous. But this week's Nanny of the Week is Cambridge, Massachusetts. Officials there on the Cambridge Licensing Commission decided to that they have put forth some new draft regulations that would essentially ban ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft.
Okay, let's take a look at what this does, because for Cambridge, Massachusetts, I lived in Massachusetts for a while, lived in the Boston area, then over in Concord, Massachusetts. They would be rolling in their graves over this, because for those who don't know, what you can do is grab your phone, there's an app on your phone, and that helps the driver find where you're standing. And the driver is usually a college kid using, in most cases, their own car, not an official cab, and they're just making a little extra money on the side. So, I mean, what could possibly be wrong with this, Eric?
Yeah, that's exactly it. This is adding supply. The reason Uber got started, which Uber came first, Lyft has come along since then to compete with them, but the reason Uber got started was a couple of guys in San Francisco who noticed that they were having a really hard time getting a cab on busy Friday and Saturday nights, and that's because the taxi companies and cities very strictly regulate how many of these medallions they give out, and that's the thing that allows you to be a taxi, is you have to buy one of these medallions from the city. So in places like San Francisco and New York and other big cities where there's a tight control on how many of these things are sold, you end up with a supply problem, because, and they do that deliberately to keep the price of these medallions very, very high. But the effect for consumers is that there's just not enough cars to go around. There's not enough taxis to go around. So these three friends noticed that and decided, well, you know, we can program an app that would do this exact same thing. They started the business that became Uber, and now it's used not just in most major cities in the United States, but in hundreds of cities around the world now use Uber. And it works just like you said. Anybody who wants to sign up to be a driver can sign up to be a driver. Uber does some basic checks. You have to have basic insurance on your car. You have to have a newer model car. And consumers, users, are allowed to rate you as a driver. And if you get poor ratings, Uber shuts you down, so you're not allowed to continue driving. But yeah, essentially the idea is that during busy hours, there will be more people out there driving, and therefore maybe more people who would sign up to drive other people and get paid for it.
And let's take a look at some of the reasons that they would want to cancel this. Or one of the reasons would be government control. I mean, it can't possibly say that they want to control tax money, because let's face it, more cabs on the road servicing more people means more money coming in for the city. But then don't we have to throw the unions into this as well, and people who are politically connected?
Yeah, that's right. The taxi companies, many of them are unionized, but the taxi companies hold a lot of sway. Just about every city has something like the Cambridge Licensing Commission. There's some sort of a licensing board or a licensing commission in every city and state, and they are frequently controlled by and captured by the very interests that they're supposed to be regulating. So the taxi companies obviously don't like things like Uber and Lyft, because it really undercuts their market. It undercuts, by adding more supply and adding competition, it forces the taxi companies to compete on things like price and on things like being able to get you somewhere in a reasonable amount of time and being able to pick you up when you want to ride and all sorts of things. Taxi companies simply aren't used to competing like this. It's obvious, it's obvious why they oppose it. But the problem is that they're getting their friends in government to enforce, and in this case, in the case of Cambridge, to actually create new laws. It's not that Uber and Lyft are running afoul of existing laws, but it's that the taxi companies are getting government entities to create new laws to specifically prevent these new entrepreneurial businesses from getting into the marketplace. And I don't know, I think that's just wrong.
Well, take it from me, Eric, the Uber cabs smell a lot better.
Yeah. They're cheaper. They come when you want them. And in my experience, at least limited experience with Uber and Lyft, the drivers and the cabs are usually much better and more courteous, and as you said, they smell a lot better. It's a more pleasant experience all the way around.
So how do people follow your work, Eric?
You can check us out on watchdog.org. My work is there. A lot of other really great reporters work at Watchdog as well. Watchdog.org, we have our Nanny of the Week section there, and lots of other good stuff from states all across the country on there. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at watchdog.org.
All right. As always, Eric, thank you for coming on.
Thanks so much, Glenn.
The weather is clearing up, and that means there's more motorcycles on the highway. The Sports Bar in Gillette, Wyoming would like to remind you to keep an eye out for our two-wheeled friends, because they can be a little more difficult to see when you're enjoying the scenery. Drive safe. Both hands on the wheel, eyes on the road. I mean, face it, we have to watch out for each other out there. This message brought to you by the Sports Bar in Gillette, Wyoming, 1400 Highway 1416, down by the airport in Gillette. Driving is easy. It's just those surprise stops that get you in trouble. Farmers Union Insurance can be there to help you so you don't face those surprises alone. Whether it's your family car, business vehicle, or an RV or rental, or a whole fleet of vehicles, your local Farmers Union Insurance agent, Betsy Jones, can help you select the best protection. And when a surprise happens, their claims people are some of the best. So don't let a sudden stop leave you stranded. Betsy Jones is here to help with Farmers Union Insurance. You're never alone. That's their promise to you. Call Betsy Jones, 682-6520. 682-6520.
Hello, Americans. This is Rod with my Made in America store, where it's always made here in the USA. Anyone remember the Battle of Midway? Started June 4th, 1942, 72 years ago. God bless our veterans. Check out our flags, replacement, whole flag sets, and motorcycle flags. Remember your dads? Fly your flags. American products equals American jobs. 203 Cary Avenue, past the construction on 1416. God bless America, and remember, buy American. It matters.
Here at Don's Supermarket, we do all we can to make your grocery shopping experience perfect. We make sure that the third wheel on our shopping carts wobble just so. Up aisle 2 is Luann with all the latest gossip. She knows everything that's going on around town, and she can't wait to tell you.
Sally's husband
We hired a guy for the meat market named Sam. I mean, of course we did. Meat? Sam? Come on. Our cashiers are the sweetest girls you've ever met. Fast at the register, and even faster when someone pulls up to the 10-item express line with 50 items. And on aisle 3, there's the 300-pound man wearing a Batman costume.
I'm Batman.
Why? Well, I mean, why not? Add to that our fresh fruit, weekly specials on what your family likes to eat, and you get the best family-friendly shopping experience a grocery store can provide, and prices you can afford. Don's Supermarket, 1501 West 2nd Street, Gillette, across from Value Villa.
Ah, summertime. You know, the great outdoors. You know what half the fun is with getting away from it all? Shopping. I mean, we're talking guns, bows, arrows, knives, camping equipment, from tents to sleeping bags, clothing, bug spray, fishing line lures, tackle bait, cooking equipment, MREs, even all the latest electronic gadgets, and they've got it all at Rocky Mountain Discount Sports with locations throughout Wyoming. So no matter what you need, before you head out into the great outdoors, do some shopping. That's half the fun, isn't it? Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, conveniently located in Gillette, Wyoming, on South Douglas Highway and 1351 CY Drive in Casper. And don't forget, Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, besides Casper and Gillette, has 3 other locations in Wyoming, including Riverton, Sheridan, and Cody.
All right, I think I got this. He makes it his business to know the government's business and how they're all up in your business so you can go about your business. Where was I going with this? Kind of lost track. Anywho, Glenn is back on the air now. Yep, there he is.
Yes, here I am, big and bold. Why was I doing that way? Sounded weird, didn't it? That's because Dan at the front seat said Shatner. So if you don't know what that is, here's the game that you play. Anytime anyone says Shatner, the person that you said it to has to overact like William Shatner. So just before I started the show, Dan typed Shatner in, and at some point I had to do it, just been kind of busy, but I promised I'd get it out of the way. And the best thing to do is to yell Shatner at the most inconvenient times as well. Kind of like, here's just one. I'm not saying this will go over well, but I'm just going to toss it out there. So, guys, you're in the delivery room. Your wife is giving birth. You don't need to say it to your wife. Trust me, she's already overacting. But say it to the doctor. Yeah, that ought to really, yeah. Of course, you'll be so proud to have a new baby in your arms, but that will end your marriage on the spot. I pretty much guarantee it, and the doctor will probably wind up with a black eye as well. Hey, let's get back to the IRS hearings real quick. Find out the grilling going on. And
in March, start again with the question.
Oh, look, it's Paul
withheld
Ryan.
The information from this congressional investigation, and in May, you assured this committee that all of Ms. Lerner's emails would be provided to us, yet you knew
we were promised
that was not possible.
No, in fact, I knew that, in fact, we would provide you all the Lois Lerner emails that we had.
But you didn't.
You already knew in March they were not retrievable. A, you didn't inform the congressional investigation. B, 2 months later you told us you would provide all the emails without limitations.
Okay, this goes on, and I do have Paul Ryan. I'm sorry I clicked the wrong one there, but I do have Paul Ryan. We're going to get to him as well, because he rips this guy a new one. I just want to keep driving home and pointing out to you guys through the course of today's show, this is the culture of bureaucracy. Yet again, another government agency, IRS, and we can eliminate the IRS. We can collect tax money without the IRS. Check out something called the fair tax. Now, for those who haven't heard of it, here's the basic rundown. Imagine April 15th is just another day, okay? It's just another day on the calendar. So how do you pay your taxes? You don't have to sit down and figure out anything. There's no deductions. None of that's going on. When you get you're going to love this part. When you get your paycheck, you get your entire paycheck, all of it. Now, wouldn't that be great if you got your entire paycheck? So, how do you pay your taxes then? I mean, right away you're going to hear people saying, but we need this, we need that, we got to have the government do we need the money, we owe so much. Yeah, okay, here's how you pay your taxes. Instead, we implement a national sales tax. All right, that's not going to raise the price of anything, because right now, let's say you bought a $50 pair of shoes, about 27% of the price of that $50, about 27% of it is just embedded taxes along the way from the federal government. That's how much. So what if we took all of those taxes and just put it at the end? So when you purchase at the retail level, that's when you pay the taxes. You're paying the tax. Every company along the way had to pay taxes to the federal government, and they passed those taxes on to you. So what we do is we just take all of the taxes and put it at the end, since you're paying it anyway. All right, there. Now we can eliminate the IRS. They no longer exist. Now we won't have to put up with stuff, like this.
Mr. Ryan's recognized for 5 minutes. This is unbelievable. The apology that ought to be given is to the American taxpayer, not to a government agency that is abusing its power. I am sitting here listening to this testimony. I don't believe it. That's your problem. Nobody believes you. Come on. The Internal Revenue Service comes to Congress a couple years ago and misleads us and says no targeting is occurring. Then it said it was a few rogue agents in Cincinnati. Then it said it was also on progressives. All of those things have been proven untrue. This committee sent a criminal referral of possible criminal wrongdoing just a month ago to the Justice Department. We've heard nothing. You bury in a 27-page letter.
It's the #1 greenhouse gas. It's dihydrogen monoxide, a colorless, odorless chemical compound which can cause death due to accidental inhalation, even in small quantities. Prolonged exposure can cause severe tissue damage, a major component in acid rain, soil erosion, floods, found in biopsies of precancerous tumors. Chemical companies use dihydrogen monoxide on our fruits and vegetables, and even give it to our livestock. You've seen it billowing from smokestacks at coal-fired power plants. It's in our air, our streams, our rivers, our lakes, and it fills the oceans. The #1 greenhouse gas, more deadly than CO2. Call your congressman today. Ask them to ban dihydrogen monoxide.
Welcome to the EPA game, where unsuspecting contestants find themselves facing instantly made-up rules and regulations and made-up fines that nobody could possibly pay. Let's meet today's contestants.
Hello, I'm Steve.
Hi there, Steve. I bet you had no idea that you would be on a game show today.
None at all. How the hell did you people get on my property? Where did you get all this game show stuff?
Now, Steve, no back talk. I don't want to make things worse. Let's spin the wheel and find out what environmental violation you're guilty of.
What the hell? You can't do that.
Well, it looks like you built a flower bed on a wetland.
What? This isn't a wetland?
It is now. Let's find out what sort of fine it's going to be. Excuse me while I put this blindfold on.
Are you going to throw darts?
Well, how else are we going to find out how much you owe, Steve? Whoa, look at that. You owe $78,000 a day until you come into compliance.
You can't do that. This is insane.
No, it's not insane. It's federal bureaucracy, Steve.
There's a difference?
No, not really. Seven minutes left in the hour. Bold Republic is on the radio. My name is Glenn Woods, and off to the phone lands as we go with Tim in Tampa hanging on the line. All right, hey, Tim, Glenn. Dive in. The water's warm.
I was told by a mutual friend earlier that you invoked my name, so I figured I'd have to call you today.
I did. What did I do?
I don't know. She said, Glenn mentioned you on the show, and I went, what, really? What did he say?
I know I did yesterday, but did I do it today?
That's when I heard about it. So
okay.
Anyway,
all right.
You didn't Shatner me, did you?
No, I would never Shatner you at all, Tim.
I wouldn't want to call you and tell you something that I didn't know.
No, it's a fun game to play. I would suggest if you've never done it to anyone, Tim, just try it.
No, I've never Shatnered on anyone before.
Well, and just do it at the most inconvenient time. Just at some awkward moment, turn to them and yell Shatner, and they have to suddenly overact it.
When I get out there next week, we're going to be shattering all around the dam.
What I would like to do is to participate in, let's say, the governor's debate. I'd like to be the moderator.
Oh, yeah.
And just when one of the candidates, and especially the governor, is up there speaking, I'd love to yell Shatner.
But now, wait a minute. If you're actually talking to Shatner, do you have to do that all the time?
No. It just when someone says it, you have to just take a moment or so and overact.
I know, but if you're actually talking to Shatner.
Oh, yeah. Now, there's a problem. If you're talking to William Shatner and you say Shatner, what does he do? Act normal?
I guess so.
I think that I know what happens. A wormhole opens up and you are sucked in through a space-time continuum. So you shouldn't do it.
Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
That's a Star Trek thing.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Hey, you know, you were talking about bureaucracy before the break.
Right.
And I thought that would be a good segue into this story I have to tell you. You know, I teach drawing classes a few times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the places I teach in is a civic center that's part of the public library. So the building is controlled by the Hillsborough County here in Tampa. The air conditioner is controlled by a bureaucrat 20 miles away downtown who determines how hot or cold we should be in that room.
Right. You have no say in the matter. No, the bureaucrat.
You have no say in the matter.
You might make a decision.
Yeah. And Tuesday night, my class, it was burning up hot in there. We were talking about how hot it was and the fact that we couldn't control the thermostat. And one of my students who's homeschooled was telling us about when he was in public schools, one of the reasons they pulled him out, that the thermostat in their science classroom was controlled by the county.
Right.
And what the science teacher would do when it would get too hot in the classroom is he would take a heat lamp and point it at the thermostat to fool the thermostat into thinking it was too hot, thus turning on the AC.
Yeah. Well, see, leave it to the science teacher to figure that out, but that brings up a bigger point. People will always, I don't care what the government regulations are, I don't care who the bureaucrats are, people will figure out a way around it. You can't control people. You shouldn't try.
You'll find a way. But I thought that was kind of ironic that, you know, here they are trying to control the thermostat and the science class finds a way around it.
Okay, let's take a look at a few other things. Alcohol prohibition, people found a way around it. Cigarette taxes, people found a way around it. Government wants, in fact, I know this for a fact, those smart meters that they want to put on your homes, which a lot of people have various objections to. I actually personally know electricians who know how to wire around those things. So the government thinks that they're controlling what's in your house, and they're not.
And the ultimate way around it, look at the people you've talked about in your show that have gone completely off the grid and produced their own energy, and still they want you to jack into the grid so they can tax you.
Right. Now, I guarantee you, so you had a problem like that. I think it was in Clearwater. There was a woman that was now in trouble. I never heard what the end of the story was, but the county was trying to find her because she had to get on the grid or else. And I guarantee you, if they try to push her and force her into getting on the grid, she'll just find a way to make it look like she's on the grid, but she won't be.
Oh, no, they would probably have a meter out there and make sure it's turning.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, there's ways to fool that.
You can't be burning that many lights. That thing should be spinning faster. They'll find a way.
Oh, she'll find a way. There's always a way around it. So people always find a way. So that's exactly what you're talking about here. Some government bureaucrat somewhere is going to control the temperature of every single classroom. So some clever teacher is going to find a way to set the temperature to what he wants. And I bet you he will, being a smart science teacher, he can either move the heat lamp closer or further away depending on what temperature he wants his room.
They just raise and lower the temperature of the heat lamp.
Yeah.
But I think the important takeaway from this story is that the kids in that particular class are learning how to get away with fooling bureaucracy and learning how evil bureaucracy can be.
Which is probably the most
our thermostat.
Probably the most important lesson that they have ever learned in a school was from that science teacher right there.
Exactly. It had nothing to do with science.
None whatsoever. But it has to do with how to handle government.
Yep.
All right.
All right, dude. You have a good Friday, and I will see you next week sometime.
Yep. All right. I'm looking forward to that. Tim from Tampa coming on out again. No, think about that for just a minute now. I mean, even since I was talking about the IRS today, people even find ways to fool the IRS. So that's why, really, since you can't control people, although they want to. I tell you what, we'll pick this up next, right after the news. We'll pick this up because this is important. We're going somewhere on this topic. Hang in there.
Hi everybody, I'm Bill Whittle, and this is part 2 of our 3-part trifecta on feminism in America today. Now in part 1 we looked at the reason for the existence of the feminist movement. That of course is the election of Hillary Clinton. In the members only part 3 we're going to look at some particularly egregious examples of feral feminism out there in the wild, but today we're going to take a peek at what can only be called the war on boys. So joining me now to pry insights from the darkness with the candy bar of truth are two guest hosts here on Trifecta today. Sitting in for the incapacitated Steve Green is Michelle Fields, and for the capacitated but still in motion Scott Ott, our own Stephen Cruiser, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, gang. So my question, ladies and germs, is modern feminism in fact a war on men? If you want to make the case, let's go to the charming Valerie Solanas, feminist saint and author of the Scum Manifesto. That's likely short for the Society for Cutting Up Men. Here's a quote from her that's charming and attractive. The male is a biological accident. The Y male gene is an incomplete X female gene. That is, it has an incomplete set of chromosomes. In other words, the male is an incomplete female, a walking abortion, aborted at the gene stage. To be male is to be deficient, emotionally limited. Maleness is a deficiency disease, and males are emotional cripples. Oh, Steve. Sounds to me like she just hasn't been serving her fellow the right brand of coffee. But this attitude that boys are somehow defective girls is being pushed very hard these days and very early, isn't it?
But not just defective, we're evil, too. Remember, we come out evil. We're born wholly evil, violent, and defective. And if she had just kept it with emotionally cripple, I might have gone with her. You know, she might have picked up an ally from the other side, Bill. But because I know sometimes I might not always understand. What's that?
I said it's a blessing being emotionally crippled. Sorry.
I'm a big fan of it. I mean, the fewer feelings, the better. It's why I watch Jason Statham movies. But this notion that we're inherently evil is what bothers me the most. That we not only come out defective. She's trying to deny nature. She's trying to. It's the Darwinists are the ones who are refuting all of the tenets in each gender that made Darwinism possible for the survival of the fittest. That's the thing here. They're science lovers of convenience. So, we evolved, we did this, we did that, but we evolved because men did a certain thing and women did a certain thing, and each one did them very well. And they were very different. And now they want to blur all of that, but still claim that they're all big, evolutionists and Darwinists, which is absolutely ridiculous. We're not defective. We're different. They don't want to say different. They want this homogenous garbage that doesn't exist, and they can keep forcing it forever. And in the end, it will be the reverse Darwinism undoing of the society.
Science lovers of convenience. Maybe we should just put that on the tombstone of the left in the middle of all the smoking wreckage that'll be left when they're gone. Now, Michelle, maybe this is just blindness on the part of Steve and I with our defective Y chromosomes. Aren't we, and when I say we, I mean Steve, really just being a bunch of whiny crybabies? And isn't a nation of pajama boys, well, is that a bad thing? Think of all of those employed in the footy industry, for example.
Well, the left constantly talks about this war on women, but I'd argue that there's a war on boys right now, especially young boys. If you look at the graduation rates of young women, women are more likely to graduate high school, more likely to go to college, they're more likely to be employed, more likely to not be underemployed, whereas if you look at men, they're struggling, they're unemployed, many of them aren't going to college, many of them are living at home in their mom's basements, and I think a lot of it has to do with this these feminist ideas. We are the first society. If you look at the history of the human race, every society, unfortunately, has always valued men over women, and I think we are about to be the first society that actually values women over men, which I think is a bad thing. I mean, we should just treat each other as equals, but I think oftentimes the left wants to treat men as though they're inferior, which is not the case.
Treat each other as equals. There's an interesting thought. Well, folks, this is happening, and it's not a joke. Young boys are being told a lot of things that don't make sense to them. Why don't you share more? Why are you so active? Just sit down. Why are you looking out that window all the time? Why don't you talk more about your feelings? Now, many radical feminists, like Valerie Solanas, genuinely want to exterminate men. I know that's an extreme case, but unfortunately, it's against the law. I looked it up. So, for these radical feminists, if they can't exterminate everything they hate about men, they will exterminate manhood instead. And we'll all be left with Pajama Boy in the hopes that this quiet, docile, peaceful male will sit still and behave himself, and also provide foot rubs, but only if we're in the mood. Now, unfortunately for them and us, the only way to keep women physically safe is not through the elimination of men. There will always be bad men, and the only defense against bad men is good men. Maybe we should try growing some more of those. We used to have a bumper crop of the best in breed right here in the USA for, I don't know, a couple centuries or so. For PJTV, I'm Bill Whittle.
Glenn Woods, OldRepublic.com.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
And guess what this liberal will be all about? This liberal will be all about socializing, will be about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies.
I think when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
I took the initiative in creating the internet. I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
It is a Friday. It's the last chance you get this week to get in whatever you wanted to talk about. Forget what I'm talking about. Interrupt me. Change the subject. That's fine. Here we go. And by the way, there's a couple ways you can get a hold of me right now. One of them is to pick up the phone and call the show. 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. And again, it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. Change the subject if you want to. The other way is for those people watching on video right now, if you look over to my shoulder, those are the people who are not listening on radio stations. You should see some kind of a link where you can click the link and a new window will open up. And you can just go ahead and leave questions, comments, remarks, whatever you want to leave. By the way, if you call the program to get on the show to talk about whatever you want to talk about, Dan is answering the phones today, not Donut. Dan is. While Dan is talking to you on the phone, I want you to shout Shatner, as in William Shatner. He'll have no choice but to overact. So, and then you let him know that I told you to do it. I asked you to. All right. So, for those who missed the last hour, let me tell you about the last call of last hour, because this, I think, is really important. He brings up a great point. Tim from Tampa called. Now, Tim was telling us the story about a science teacher. If you're in Hillsborough County Schools, which is in Tampa, Florida, you can, if you're a teacher in a classroom, you're not allowed to touch your own thermostat. They have people doing that. Some bureaucrat somewhere controls the temperature of all the different classrooms. So the science teacher, being the brilliant man that he is, grabs a heat lamp and puts it close to the thermostat so it overheats the thermostat to turn on the air conditioner earlier. See, now, and Florida is a very hot and humid place. You kind of need that. Once again, that shows that when you're dealing with people, not just the free people, when you're dealing with people, people are going to figure out a way to do whatever they want to do. It's the nature of being a human being. Human beings don't like being told what to do. Oh, I know there's some wimpy little people out there who somehow, well, you know something? No, I can't say that. I was about to say there's some people who like being told what to do, but most people out there don't like being, in fact, even the people who are okay with being sheeple, they sneak a cookie behind someone's back, steal stuff from the refrigerator. They cheat, they lie in the system a little bit. Why? Because it's that little taste of freedom, isn't it? People don't like being controlled. People don't like being told what to do. And yet there's a class of people in government, which is why you hear me complain about them so much, that like telling us what to do, how to live our lives. And that's what this battle is all about. But hang on, I'm going to put that on hold for just a minute. Duff's hanging on the line. Hi, Duff. Did you tell Dan Shatner?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
He said he can walk and chew gum at the same time.
And what was Dan's reaction to you shouting Shatner?
He said he can walk and chew gum at the same time, regardless of what you say.
Yeah, but did he overact, though?
Yeah, a little
Oh,
bit.
good. Okay, good. That's the reaction. I was just getting them back for having me doing it on the air. So I appreciate you doing that for me there, Duff. I really do.
Yep.
What'd you call about?
Anything to help? Well, I just wondered if you're remembering to show the big benefit on Sunday.
Oh, yes. In fact, I'm going to be in the dunk tank.
Oh, okay.
So,
and Veterans Breakfast on Tuesday morning.
Absolutely right. Now, for those people who don't know what we're talking about, let's coordinate this here, Duff. There's a little girl who got and I believe, Duff, it was a fungus in her spine. Yeah, and now she's in a wheelchair and
Yes, sir.
complete paraplegic. So her parents need one of those vans that can handle a wheelchair with the lift in it. And so we're having a get-together at Dalby Memorial Park, and where everybody's starting to gather at 11 o'clock. But we're going to stay there as late as we can. There's food. I mean, there's free hot dogs. There's sodas to drink. There's going to be a dunk tank. I am going to be in it. How's your throwing arm, Duff?
It'll get better as soon as I see you on the
I'm sure it will.
battle, buddy.
I will stand and salute so you can knock me down that way. And in order for Duff to do that, he's going to have to pay some money, which all goes toward buying this family a van for their little girl. So I'll see you there Sunday at 11 o'clock. And then what's the Veterans Breakfast?
Veterans Breakfast is 8 o'clock Tuesday morning at the Senior Center.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free breakfast for veterans. They can find out what's going on with the veteran world, and
All right.
if they got any questions for the veteran world, that's the place to ask them.
And both those events are in Gillette, Wyoming. All right. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for calling in, but also thanks for the Shatner, Duff. I appreciate that.
You bet.
All right.
Anything I can do to help out nobody.
No problem. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. So, let's think again, what's the nature of human beings? We are independent thinkers. We don't like being told what to do, right? So how is it that we continue to surround ourselves with a government that tells everybody what to do? The answer is we like it when other people are told what to do. We don't want anyone telling us what to do. But everybody else needs to be controlled, right? Isn't that usually how that works? And that is exactly usually how it works, which is why we wind up in so much trouble. That's why I'm more of a libertarian in my way of thinking. I just prefer to leave other people alone. I don't care what your lifestyle is. We're supposed to be free people in a free country, as long as we're not bothering each other. The only time we interfere in somebody else's life is when what they're doing personally harms us. Now, harm does not mean offend. Oh, that offends me, so we have to have a law passed so they can't offend us. I mean, no, that's not what that means. Harm does not mean that you were personally offended by it. Therefore, harmed means that they did monetary damage to you. They're doing some physical damage to you. Not that something was offensive to you and it made you well up with a little tear in your eye. So what do we see with things? You hear me complain about Obamacare. I'm complaining about the IRS right now. I'm complaining about the BLM, and I can name so many government agencies, even local government with their local ordinances. You can't even plant a garden anymore without having to go through local bureaucracy to do it. You can't build a pond on your own property without the EPA showing up and harassing you. What is that all about? We're supposed to be a free people in a free country. And somehow we surround ourselves by an ever-increasing government, a bigger and bigger government, hellaciously bent on telling us what to do. And people always find a way around it, don't they? People do find a way around it, don't they? They always do. It doesn't matter how many laws they pass. People find a way around it. Hang on, we'll talk about it in just a second. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
Jerry, how's it going?
Very good, Jerry. What you got for me?
I had no screener that time. I couldn't Shatner him.
Yeah, I know. Well, I tell you what, I wonder if he's just kind of busy out there right now or something like that. I want to take your call, but what I'm going to do is hang up, and you call back and see if you can Shatner him, and then tell me how it went, okay?
Okay, we'll try that.
All right, off we go. Okay. Now, for those who don't know what we're doing here is if you shout Shatner, somebody's supposed to overact. So if you're a caller calling into the show right now, Dan is answering the phones. When he answers the phone, you're supposed to yell Shatner, and so Dan has to overact on the phone, like William Shatner overacts. This, I just heard him do it. So, okay, thank you for that. All right, so anyway, what do we do then in a world, and what do we do with a bureaucracy? It's not, when I say world, I'm talking about the planet. What do we do with a world where there are those people who are intent on telling everybody else what to do, but nobody out there likes being told what to do? Well, that's where you come across with a form of government that we're supposed to be living in right now, which is a limited form of government where it's the government's job to protect us, to protect our liberties, to protect our freedoms, not to tell us what to do. When we give them the power to tell us what to do is when we wind up in trouble. We've made that mistake by giving government so much power. Every time we have a problem, we turn to government to solve the problem. We don't solve it ourselves. And in order for government to solve the problem, they have to take away our liberties, don't they? And there's the problem. It's a never-ending cycle. I heard you get them, Jerry. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
I appreciate you doing that for me. So you wanted to talk about the Redskins?
Yeah. So I've decided how we can name teams without offending people.
Okay.
Or at least without it mattering.
Right.
See, there's three groups of people in America that it doesn't matter if you offend them.
Right.
So we can name them any form of Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's okay to
offend Christians. See where you're going. You're supposed to. So you can't name it after Muslims. That's offensive. But if you name it after Christians, that's okay because we're allowed to offend these people.
There. Or how about this one? The Washington Fatsos. Because it's okay to make fun of fat people.
Well, now it used to be. But now, though, if you go to school and you call somebody fatty, you're in big trouble.
Well, I'm not talking about at school. We're talking about in the real world.
No, there's no difference anymore.
Or the third group of people is the smokers.
Yeah.
Because the smokers get beat up on all the time by the government.
Right,
so they have a problem, you know.
You know what I want to do now, without me getting in trouble from the FCC, because I think we have two things we need to do here. On the one hand, we need to, and I think you've done really well, come up with names that we are allowed to offend people. You know, we can name a team the middle-aged rich white guys.
There you go.
See,
how about the Washington billionaires?
There you go. See, we're trying to offend them, so go ahead. So we can go the other way now. If we can come up with a name for a football team that involves everything offensive from race to guns to money, and it's got to be sexist. I mean, there's got to be some run-on name that we can do. Because let me tell you about this. I thought was one of the funniest moments I ever had in an automobile. Okay, I saw a bumper sticker that said, "Nuke the whales."
Nuke the whales. That's awesome.
And I thought that has got to be the funniest bumper sticker ever. And there's no way you can possibly top that. Okay, Jerry. About a year later, I'm driving down the road, and somebody topped it. The bumper sticker read, "Nuke a gay whale for God."
Nuke a gay whale for God. That's awesome.
You have now officially offended everybody.
There you go.
Yeah. So we've got to come up with a name for a football team that's like that. A name that, like in one sentence, offends everybody. And I think we got it made.
There you go.
Thanks for Thanks for Shatnering Dan for me.
No problem.
All right,
it was my pleasure.
All right, thanks for calling in. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. Since it is summertime, isn't it? Well, the temperature's out there. I can't tell. We still in winter or spring? It's snowing in parts of Wyoming. All right, whatever the hell season it is, it's a great time to make sure that the vehicles you're riding out there are up to snuff. And I mean cars, boats, planes, pick one. 4 wheels, 3 wheels, 2 wheels. What do you need? Anybody's Auto, RVs, campers, some trailers with no engines. Anybody's Auto magazine has it. And you'll find them around this entire region. I mean, they're everywhere. Go into a convenience store. I don't care if you're in the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming. Go into a convenience store, a restaurant. It's all over the place. By the way, would you like something listed in anybody's auto magazine? That's actually pretty affordable. Just stop by, pick one up. Okay? Just stop by, pick one up. Get your stuff listed in there. You'll be surprised how fast it sells.
Bold Republic.
Pool leagues, dart leagues. Saturday night is ladies' night. Poker every Wednesday night. Domestic beers and draft on sale. And special daily dollar shop. We even have a packaged liquor drive-thru and many other things for you. It's Lakeside Liquor. Open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. till 2 a.m. Sunday, 11 till 11. Because you need to relax after where you've been. Work is hard for the ladies and gents. Come to Lakeside Liquor. Relax and vent. Lakeside Liquors across from Wyoming Work Warehouse in Gillette.
You could either spend $100 getting your phone fixed, or you could go ahead and spend $400 to replace it. At Selectel Wireless in Gillette, we fix phones. Most generally, what breaks is the digitizer or the LCD. This is from being dropped, being smashed, thrown against the wall. Now, seriously, 9 times out of 10, people throw their phones. Well, we can fix that too. Save money, fix it, don't replace it. Come see us at Selectel Wireless, next to Office Depot in Gillette, Wyoming. But if you do need a new phone, we have those too.
Daydreaming, son. It's time to get prepared. Time to get off your sofa and run yourself down to Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders Building. Oh, my. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Civilian soldier, they got everything you could need. That's right, the surplus is unlimited. Surplus Unlimited ammo for babies and adults.
That's right, babies need camo too.
10 different styles of camo.
Oh, don't you look pretty.
550 cord, numerous colors, wool blankets, boots, hats, gloves, coats, shirts, tactical vests and belts, camping supplies, high-quality army cots, and that hard-to-find P38 can opener. Save time, save money. Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders Building, 801 Carlisle on the Douglas Highway across from the fishing lake. Gillette, Wyoming.
A recent study shows that blind people are having a hard time hearing the all-new electric cars like the Nissan Leaf and the Chevy Volt. As a result, the blind run the risk of being run over while attempting to cross the street.
That's horrible.
Yes, it is. Hey, you don't want to kill blind people, do you?
No, I bought my car to help save the planet.
But now you're killing blind people.
Well, not yet, I haven't. I just wanted to save the squirrel.
Well, given a choice, what would you rather run over? A blind person or a squirrel?
Well, a squirrel, I suppose.
Well, then forget that electric car. Go buy a big, noisy, gas-guzzling SUV so those blind people can hear you coming. Screw the squirrels.
I'm going out to buy one right now.
This message brought to you by SUVs to Save the Blind.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline McKinney, owner of Fast and Furious Detailing. Do you need your RV or toy hauler cleaned before summer? We will get it ready for you, so all you have to do is go have some fun. Or how about after summer fun, we can clean it up. We will even wash all of your bedding for you. Does your boat have dark film all around the outside of it? No problem. Fast and Furious Detailing is a full-service detailing company. We detail cars, SUVs, trucks, RVs, toy haulers, boats, ATVs, UTVs, and motorcycles. Fast and Furious Detailing hopes you can find everything you need. Our company is focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. With a variety of offerings to choose from, we're sure you'll be happy working with us. We're located at 5753 South Winland Drive, and our phone number is 307-682-2470.
So, yes, Glenn is pro-gun, but we only let him have one bullet, and we make him keep it in his pocket.
Sound familiar?
Inside that man's body is a little child calling out for help.
Let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
So, yeah, Nick DeLotte, Campbell County Observer, who's out there delivering the newspaper today, just called in moments ago, and said, yeah, the most offensive team name that's out there is New York Yankees. Well, you know, he's right about that. I'm not even a sports fan, Nick, and I know that. Well, let's take a look at it. Okay, first off, it's New York. New York wants to say that they're the greatest city in the world, but anybody who, you know, actually has been there, and I've been there a couple of times anyway, will just flat out tell you it's the sewer. It really is. So, and they're they're destroying their city. They're the least free city out there too, with every kind of ban on salt and name it. They got soda ban. Hey, Bloomberg, take a look what I'm holding right here. I got a 16-ounce soda right here. There you go, in your face. Take that, okay, Bloomy? He's not even there anymore. But still, I wanted him to get that message. So, all right. Let's see, what else? Well, it's New York. Okay. Fat New Yorkers, yeah. The kind of disgusting, slobbery, fat, liberal New Yorkers. And, Yankees. So there you go. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nick. I got busy with other things, so I apologize, folks. We got to go back and do it for today. I forgot to go ahead and give you your debt clock for the day, so let's go ahead and give a look at that real quick. Debt clock today. Wow, it really climbs during the course of a week. 17,937,264,461,162. Wow, that has during the course of a week, be amazed how that grows. And I figured out it's about $1 billion a show. Now, that's not an exact number because it varies from day to day, but it's about $1 billion a show. That's how much is added to the national debt while I am on the air for 3 hours. About $1 billion. Now, since we're talking disgusting sports fans and so on and offensive names, let's talk soccer since this World Cup thing is happening, apparently. Nick, are you listening? Tim from Tampa? I want to make sure. A couple of big sports fans here. You guys are going to love this. Police are currently investigating fans with wheelchairs that are in the handicap zones, which, as you know, are right up front. So now, think about it. If you're handicapped and you're at the World Cup, you're in a wheelchair, you get some primo seating there. And you get it at a discount price because, well, you poor thing, you're handicapped. Police are investigating the fans in wheelchairs that have been standing up during the wave and standing up and cheering when somebody scores. A group of supporters who appear to jump out of their wheelchairs. Well, you know what it is. It's just a miracle is what it is. I mean, come on now. This is taking place in a very Catholic country. It's just a miracle. So the World Cup in Brazil, police are investigating what they're calling ticket fraud. A group of supporters who appeared to jump out of their wheelchairs while watching the matches. It's a miracle. Are being investigated for ticket fraud. Police are looking into pictures from the television station and social media. Oh, that is just, these people are going to hell for this. With supposedly wheelchair-bound Brazilian fans standing during the opening game. Now, here's what gets me. I don't mind so much if they do that. Look, I'm not a sports fan. I can give them a pass. But when they play the national anthem of various countries, do they stand during that? Oh, sure. You'll stand and cheer when someone scores. Yeah. You'll stand when the wave goes through the crowd. Sure, you'll stand for that. But someone plays the national anthem of your country, or even somebody else's, do you stand out of respect? No? Do you sit there and act like a cripple? Shame on you. And for that, you should not just face some kind of a fine or whatever. Let's take that a step further. For that, you should be humiliated. And if I could pronounce your name, I would. Police believe that some fans who bought tickets on the black market may have tried to cover their tracks using wheelchairs to enter the stadium. Many of the concession tickets designated for disabled fans have fallen into the hands of, well, people are scrambling just to get into the stadium. There have been cases of young adults taking seats reserved for pensioners. Pensioner, how to explain it? That's another way of just saying, they have seats available for the elderly, people who are on a government fixed income. So it's kind of like not just handicap parking, if you will. It's kind of like just get out of the way, here comes grandma with her walker, that kind of seating arrangement there. So there's some young people sitting in seats that are designated for grandma and grandpa. Now that I would call dangerous. Because the person in a wheelchair may not be able to do too much to you, but grandma, well, she's got that walker. I'd watch out if I were you.
The federal government is massive, wasteful, and growing larger every year. It's time to downsize the federal government. The Department of Education was created in 1979 to provide subsidies for K-12 education and higher education. Today, the department routinely consumes about $50 billion a year in taxpayer dollars, about $400 for every American family. Hundreds of billions of dollars have been spent by the department, yet all it has to show for it are stagnant test scores, huge bureaucracies, and massive increases in the cost of education. While federal involvement in education has dramatically increased and funding per pupil has more than tripled since the 1970s, performance on standardized tests has remained decidedly flat. The U.S. also routinely performs poorly on international comparisons, while Canada, which has no federal education department, consistently does well in international rankings. The regulations and mandates that go with education funding are also expensive. In 2008, the Department of Education estimated that 7.8 million hours of work would be needed for state and local education agencies to comply with just those regulations governing Title I grants. In many states, a majority of state-level education department workers are those administering federally funded programs. Aid to college students has also increased dramatically, driving tuition higher and leaving college no more affordable than before, at a cost of about $40 billion a year. Total student debt now tops $1 trillion. That's more than either outstanding U.S. auto loan debt or credit card debt. Channeling taxpayer dollars through Washington and then back to the states is an inefficient way to fund local activities like education. It would be better if states funded their own education programs, free from all the paperwork that comes with federal aid. The Department of Education and the entirety of its programs can simply be shut down at a savings of at least $50 billion a year. For details on cutting the Department of Education and other government programs, visit downsizinggovernment.org, a project of the Cato Institute.
Did you hear? The government is giving away free guns. Yes, free guns. Gun manufacturers around the nation will be mandated to give every citizen a free gun with ammunition. As you know, the U.S. Constitution states that you have a right to bear arms. And since we've been told that anything that is a right, like health care, is given to you by the government for free, then that must mean that soon you'll be able to pick up your free gun. And since free contraceptives are also a right, then that means you get free bullets too. Yes, right now the U.S. government is borrowing money from China and future generations and raising taxes on the mega wealthy just to make sure that you get your free gun guaranteed under the Constitution. Because now anything that's a right in this country is given to you for free. Healthcare's a right, and you have the right to bear arms. It's your right.
I've tried just about everything, and I can't seem to lose weight.
What if I told you there was something you could do?
Really? What? I'll do anything.
Eat less, move more.
And?
That's it.
But how does it work?
It's simple, really. You eat less food, and you move around more than you do now.
It gets more complicated the more you describe it. Isn't there a pill I could take?
Haven't you taken pills for dieting?
I sure have.
How'd that work out?
I'm fatter now than I've ever been. Can't I just get a doctor to staple my stomach shut?
You'd rather have invasive surgery than lose weight by eating less and moving around?
At least I'd be asleep. How much will it cost?
Nothing. It will cost nothing. In fact, you might actually save money.
This is starting to sound like some sort of scam you do to an old person.
Find out today how you can eat less and move more by going outside. A public service announcement of American Standard Media.
A radio show? Yeah, tip of the iceberg. Check out the YouTube videos. See what Glenn's talking about on Facebook and Twitter. You can find out more at boldrepublic.com.
My name is Glenn Woods. Bold Republic is on the radio. Now, you know the routine by now. I hope you do. 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. And as always, pretty much everything I talk about and a whole lot more, you'll find it on my website. That is boldrepublic.com. It is a Friday. That means you can call, interrupt, change the subject all you want. Phone number, 307-363-4093. That's 363-4093. Or for those watching on video right now, there should be a link right around where my name is supposed to be. You can click on it. A whole new window opens up. Questions, comments, obnoxious remarks, whatever you like to do, and I'll see them while I'm talking on the air, and I'll respond to them. So, okay, I've told you about a guy named Paul Ehrlich for some time. If you're not familiar with him, he's a nutball scientist. Well, climatologist, whatever. He's a member of that. This gets back to what Tim and I were talking about. Control. It's about control over you. It has nothing to do with global warming or health care or the environment. Name your issue. Name any issue. It has to do with control. And they use junk science or whatever means to achieve that control. Now, the beauty of it is, I've told you about climate fatigue. That's how people are just getting sick and tired of, people are really just sick and tired of hearing that everything they do is destructive and is good. And so that's why, where it used to be like 67% of the people believe that man was causing some kind of climate change, now it's about 31% or less. And while anybody would turn to you and say, yes, we should make sure that we have clean air and clean water and take care of the environment and don't pollute and so on, okay, fine, we should. But that doesn't mean that everything we do is leading to the destruction of the planet. What about population? This is the guy who wrote the book called The Population Bomb. Now, that book, he predicted that by, and I think he said the year 2000, that the Earth would not be able to sustain the growing human population. He predicted massive famines and wars and a complete collapse of society. The date came and went, and nothing happened. And yet still he's held up by the left as some kind of a hero. I have no idea why. All right, in front of me right now I have the audio of the latest, because this guy's still at it. Like Al Gore, whose prediction that the Earth was going to overheat and there was no turning back, and that was going to happen within 10 years, which, by the way, we passed the deadline over a year ago. This guy is still talking about his population bomb.
It is a major responsibility of any government to see to the well-being of the population that the government is presumably taking care of. And one of those things has to be the size of the population.
There we go.
Crystal clear. That's where the Chinese, perhaps erroneously, it's a big debate, got into the one-child family thing because they thought their economy was going to collapse if their population continued to grow as fast as it was growing. How you do it is another question, and whether it should be done by, say, command and control, or by tax rules, or by trying to change ethics, or whatever else, that's a big area for debate. But what's not debatable, if you think about it for 2 minutes, is that a huge responsibility of any government is to try and have the size of its population suitable for giving its people both safety and a reasonable life.
Now, you notice something that he did in there that was very typical. There's a lot he did wrong, but there's something he did in there that was very typical. Well, if you think about it, it's something that's not debatable. What is he doing before you can say anything? He's telling you that the debate is over, that the science is settled. So you're not allowed to say anything because he said that. If you think about it for 2 minutes, in other words, translation, and if you do say something, you obviously didn't think about it, so you're an idiot. That's what he's trying to say here. All right. Well, Mr. Ehrlich, I'm going to pick this apart real quick. I am going to answer you because I thought about it for less than 2 minutes. I didn't need a full 2 minutes, and I was able to tear your argument apart. Let's take a look at this.
It is a major responsibility of any government to see to the well-being of the population.
No, it's not. That's been the problem, is that government continues to try to see to the well-being of the population. Let's do that again.
It is a major responsibility of any government to see to the well-being of the population that the government is presumably taking care of.
Stop. Okay. Did you see two problems there? One, well, the government is supposed to see to the well-being. No, they're not. The government's job is, you are a free person. Go lead your life. The government's job is to protect that so you can. That's all the government's supposed to be doing. Okay, and now that the next part of that, let me back it up just a little bit. We'll do it again.
It is a major responsibility of any government to see to the well-being of the population that the government is presumably taking care of.
Stop right there. That the government presumably is taking care of. And there's the next problem. The government is not supposed to be taking care of you. And there's where we wind up with the next problem.
And one of those things has to be the size of the population.
Oh.
That's crystal clear.
That's crystal
where
clear.
the Chinese, perhaps erroneously, it's a big debate, got into the one-child family thing because they thought their economy was going to collapse if their population continued to grow as fast as it was growing. How you do it,
here we go.
Question, and whether it should be done
just a matter of how you do it.
Command and control, or by tax rules, or by trying to change ethics, or whatever else. That's a big area for debate. But what's not debatable, if you think about it for 2 minutes, is that a huge responsibility of any government is to try and have the size of its population suitable for giving its people both safety and a reasonable life.
See, in his mind, it is the responsibility of government to take care of you, and also to assume whether you will be having children or how many, what is good for the population, what is good for you. In other words, control the people. This has nothing to do with the population or the environment or his lame predictions, which never come true, by the way. He's predicted doom and gloom, not just in the population bomb, but in many other books. And none of his predictions ever come true. I'm happy to say there's only a small group of people who actually listen to this guy, but I wanted you to get into the mind for just a dirty place. Get into the mind of a liberal for just a minute, a hardcore leftist. It's all about control over you. Now, Lee, I do see your comment that you left here, which I'll get to next. Those people watching by video and not on a radio station can leave me comments, and I'll get to that just next in just a moment. I wanted to talk one more time again, maybe two more times before this half hour is over. We are getting together to help a little girl who suddenly found herself a paraplegic, like overnight. And we're getting together at Dalby Memorial Park in Gillette, Wyoming. On Sunday, we start gathering at 11 o'clock, and we're just going to go until we can't go anymore and have a good time. There will be free hot dogs, by the way. People are donating. By the way, thank you. There was a gentleman who stopped by the studios just a moment ago and just left $100. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. People will be stopping by and having a good time and donating money so that family could get a wheelchair lift van, or a van with a wheelchair lift. If you can join us on Sunday, there's going to be a dunk tank. I'm the guy in the dunk tank. I'll take that bullet for that little girl.
I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance? Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And, of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002.
You fell in love with her on your first date, that 3-hour dinner at a Greek restaurant. And at evening's end, you couldn't help but wonder, was she the one for you? Today you know she is, and you realize that she's yours for the asking. This is Bruce at Marshall Jewelry. So ask already, but first come see us, of course, for the setting, the diamond, and the expertise to help you make it perfect. Then on to that moment that you've been imagining, and so has she. She's yours for the asking. We're open 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it, guaranteed.
Howdy, folks. This is Swede from Swede Specialties here in Gillette, and I'm here today with Mr. Wimpy. Mr. Wimpy, have you ever tried a home-brewed beer?
Oh, no. I only like wimpy beer.
Would you like to try a home-brewed beer, Mr. Wimpy?
Well, okay, but just a sip. It looks kind of dark.
Just close your eyes and try it. Well, Mr. Wimpy, what do you think of homebrew? Now that's real beer, Pilgrim. But give Swede a call, 307-686-0588, or go to swedespecialties.com.
Powder River Letterbuck Trading Post is now open for business. Your one-stop location for local products and services in the Powder River Basin. Just log in to letterbucktradingpost.com. That's letter with an ER. Shop online for what you've been needing. All items are 50% off. You can pay online or pay in person to receive your certificate for the item. To receive redemption coupons for your product or services, please bring credit card, check, money order, or cash to the Campbell County Observer Office at 1001 South Douglas Highway near the Living Rock Church in Gillette. Shop local and save big. Log in and see savings at Letterbuck Trading Post. letterbucktradingpost.com.
This is Bob. Bob is a superhero. If you got a drywalling or painting problem that needs taking care of, just call on Bob. Oh, he's getting a call now. We don't really have phone booths anymore. The problem is that gives him nowhere to change into his costume. Could you just turn around for a second? Maybe look the other way. Oh, there you go. And off Bob goes to take care of another drywall and painting problem. Bob Miner, painting, drywall repairs, finishing and trim, and etc. Licensed, bonded, and insured. 30 years of experience. Free on-the-spot estimates. 307-689-9462. Oh, I think he left a sock behind. Does pornography cause global warming?
I swear, I had no idea how that got on my computer. It must be a hot.
Do you care about the environment?
Well, sure I do. I mean, who doesn't?
Did you know that a full 13% of internet is taken up by people searching for porn?
But it's not all me. I mean, it's not me.
You know, it takes a lot of energy for you to...
if I were...
Right. So by surfing porn, you are contributing to climate change.
But I sleep after, so that's got to save energy, right?
Save the planet. Don't surf porn.
You're not going to show this video to my mother, are you?
Sorting through the nonsensical nonsense that makes your life a living hell. It's Glenn Woods. OldRepublic.com.
So Lee did something that people who watch the video can do. If you're listening to the show on a radio station, the phone number is 307-363-4093. That's 363-4093. For those watching on video, there's a link you can click on, and up comes a new window, and you can ask a question, leave a comment. What Lee wants to know is, why doesn't Congress call the IRS IT and have them answer some questions, about those lost emails? Answer, Lee, is they have. And what the answer was actually caused a gasp in the room. So here that we're having a congressional hearing, right? And the question is asked of the IT guys, so what happened to the hard drives? Well, we destroyed them. In other words, there's a bunch of emails on there, and we know that this is the information you're looking for, but those hard drives of the 7 people total, including Lois Lerner, that you were looking for, just those hard drives happened to crash. And when we realized there was just no way that we could possibly retrieve that information, well, we just destroyed the hard drives, recycled them, they're gone. And literally in that hearing room, there was an audible gasp. I want you to think about that for a moment. The IRS calls you looking for information, and you say to the IRS, oh, my hard drive crashed, I don't have that information. Well, we can recover it from your hard drive. You know you can do that. Oh, no, as soon as I noticed that my hard drive crashed, I destroyed the hard drive. And so what's supposed to happen now is the IRS is just supposed to shrug their shoulders and go, oh, well, I guess this is over then. Never mind.
I'm Andrew Klavan,
And this is the revolting truth. The debate is over. The science is settled. Any other point of view in this day and age is hateful. It's racism straight up. It's like the civil rights movement never happened. It's a war on women. Women in this country are under fire as if this were a war. It's Islamophobic too. And as for gays, well, the debate is over. The time for talking is past. The experts have reached a consensus. We've come too far to go back now. The people have decided. The toothpaste is out of the tube. We're not going to return to the bad old days. Sure, there are some who insist on being anti-science. There are people who are still clinging to their Bibles and their guns. I don't know why they're working so hard to keep folks from having health insurance. They want to put you all back in chains. They want to put women in binders. Don't they know this is the 21st century? The debate is over. If you disagree, well, you are not welcome here. We'll sue. We'll boycott. We'll get you fired. We'll revoke your invitation to speak because we support diversity. So get on the bandwagon. Fall in line. The debate is over. It's over. O for O, ver for ver, over. Up. Debate, equal sign, over. Finished, done. The science is settled. The time for talking is past. Any other point of view? Well, it's Fox News. Fox News. It's Rush Limbaugh. It's Rush, Fox, Limbaugh News. It's old white men. It's the Koch brothers. It's an Islamo-homophobic racist war on women stuck into binders by Rush Limbaugh on Fox News. And the person who made that offensive video will be punished, I promise you. The future does not belong to those who have any other point of view because we have bipartisan agreement. The science is settled. The experts have reached a consensus. The time for talking is past. The debate is over. This message has been brought to you by Barack Obama, the Democrat Party, an assorted collection of Marxist knuckleheads, but I repeat myself, the news media, but I repeat myself repeating myself, and Brandeis University, and Rutgers University, and ACT UP, and Planned Parenthood, and Barack Obama. Again, visit us at thedebateisover.yourebeingaudited.youreunderarrest.com. I'm Andrew Klavan with the Revolting Truth.
Last 7 minutes of the hour. My name's Glenn Woods. Bold Republic is on. And for some of you folks, last chance to get your comments, questions, and obnoxious remarks in. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. Or, if you want, like Lee just did, you can click, if you're watching on the video, you can click on the link just around my name there, and you can go ahead and drop in questions, comments, remarks, whatever you want to do. For some stations, one more thing. For some stations, they only carry 2 hours of the program. One, call and complain, because there's 3 hours to the show. Other stations that carry all 3 hours, thank you. For those who don't get all 3 hours, go to my website, boldrepublic.com. You can continue watching by video, right there off the front page. There's also the show downloadable, video or just audio if you want. So you can spend the weekend catching up on everything that you missed. Okay, so you know what kills me? Is when you're talking to a judge and he's just not listening. He's just not getting it. Get a load of this. Judge orders deployed U.S. sailor to attend a custody hearing or lose his daughter or even face arrest. The judge knows full well that this guy is deployed. Okay? So, but still, well, if he's deployed, he can't show up, can he? So what is this judge's problem? And judges do stuff like this all the time. Now, I'm not saying all judges are evil. It's not what I'm saying. I am saying, though, that this particular judge is a complete moron, and we come across them from time to time, and he should just flat out lose his job at this point. If he's this stupid. Gene is on the phone to talk about the VA. Hi, Gene. What you got for me?
How you doing, Glenn?
Alive.
Good to see you in good health.
Yeah, kicking.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the fact that in the Rapid City Journal this morning, they said that so far on the percentage of the basis, it takes over 30 days for a veteran to get in to see a doctor.
In Rapid City?
Now, it said across all the VAs.
Oh, okay,
So
all
far.
right. See, I was offended
On
when
a
they
percentage
said...
basis, it takes over 30 days. Now, if you've got an emergency, a lot of cases, what do you do? And I have, after talking to a couple of people, they just went to a private doctor because they couldn't wait.
Yeah. Well, see, this is why, and well, once again, there's government-run healthcare. Do you remember, Gene, you've heard this before, why so many Canadians were crossing the border to see American doctors? Because the wait was so long. Why do so many people from the United Kingdom come to America to see a doctor? Because it's government-run healthcare, and the wait is so long. And here in America, people who are waiting to see a doctor at the VA end up going to private doctors because with government-run healthcare, you will literally die waiting to see a doctor.
Correct.
Yeah.
I know when I was in California, I met a lot of people from Canada that come out there to a hospital because they had emergencies, appendectomy and this other thing, and they couldn't get in Canada, so they come out there and spend their own money.
Well, you know what I think was also crazy, Gene, is when they say, well, it's supposed to be 14 days at the most. And I look at that and think, seriously, 2 weeks? 2 weeks, seriously. Because if I had a problem right now and I called just a private practice doctor and he told me that he could get me in 2 weeks, I would just forget ever going to him again. And I would go find some other doctor because I guarantee you, if I needed to, I could find someone today.
Right.
But not with government-run healthcare, though.
No, I don't know. It's so stupid, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
To me, it's just stupid.
Well, this is...
supply proper care to veterans. Let's get it up to date. Come on, there's no need for this.
Well, the more I think about it, now it's not, Gene, that there's not going to be a problem with this, because there's still going to be a problem with it because government will be handing out money. But I think a better solution, not a perfect one, but a better solution is if a veteran has an injury, be it physical or mental, that he got from serving our country, he should be given some kind of a voucher, some kind of an account where he can go see a doctor of his choosing. Let's never build government-run hospitals again, because we've done this twice now with veterans hospitals. There was this version of the veterans hospital and something that we had before it, whose name I can't remember, and both ended the same way. So obviously the government can't handle this. We should turn it over to private industry.
I'll agree with it.
All right.
I'll agree.
Gene, have a good week. I got to run. Have a good weekend. All right, talk to you later. And for those people, by the way, I want to say it one more time, for those people who are in or even can get to Gillette, Wyoming, please come this weekend. Dalby Memorial Park Sunday. We're going to start gathering at 11, but we'll be there a good part of the afternoon. And we're just going to have an old-time cookout and raise money for a family who needs to have a van with a wheelchair lift for their little girl. And that's all it is. We gather together, we have a good time, cook out, dunk tank, I'm the sucker in the dunk tank, and you're allowed to pay a fee to knock me into the cold, cold water. So I hope to see you there on Sunday, all right? For everybody else, third hour of the program starts, in about 6 minutes from now. Hang in there. Don't go anywhere. Oh, but one more thing. Go to my website and my YouTube page over the weekend, because I don't stop posting just because the weekend arrives, all right? So there'll be plenty of things for you to watch and look at and read and have fun with, including the Daily Weirdness page.
This is French King Louis XV, also called the Beloved. I have a pair of pajamas just like that at home. Well, it's widely agreed that his reign dramatically damaged the power of France. His reckless spending drained the treasury and sharply increased levels of distrust for the government among the common French citizen. His main squeeze, Madame Pompadour, was known for her lavish lifestyle, frequent expensive jaunts, and pricey taste in clothes. His reign has been described as, quote, one of debilitating stagnation, unquote, marked, according to Wikipedia, by lost wars and endless clashes with Parliament. One noted historian called Louis XV a perpetual adolescent called to do a man's job. Just let me know if any of this starts to sound familiar. You know, there's a famous quote attributed to Louis XV. Maybe it was Madame Pompadour who actually said it, or maybe it was someone else, but the fact is, when questioned about his reckless spending, his foreign policy disasters, his incompetence at home, and his utter contempt for the common people, when confronted, in other words, about what was going to happen as a consequence of these ruinous actions, Louis reportedly replied, "Après moi, le déluge." After me comes the flood. In other words, when I'm gone, nothing will matter. The world could be swept away. The slate of French glory swiped clean. What does he care? He came, he saw, he destroyed, and after him comes the deluge. Who cares? I don't know about you, but it seems to me that this pace of scandals and crises piling up on this man and his court is ruinous, and it's accelerating. One catastrophe after another, the waves of the deluge breaking higher and faster. And what I'm seeing everywhere in America is a kind of hopelessness, a fatalism utterly alien to the American mindset. I think it's disaster fatigue. How much can a people take? You cry yourself to sleep at the latest news of tripled health care bills or trading terrorists for traitors, and you wake up thinking things could not be any worse, but they are. You know, back during the Cold War, there was a defensive plan called dense pack. The idea being that if you put plenty of missiles in hardened silos very, very close together, then incoming warheads would be deflected by the explosions of the ones that had come in earlier. Kind of feels that way sometimes, doesn't it? Scandals breaking so fast that they kind of deflect the incoming next one. Critics of dense pack had a name for that strategy back in the day. They called it dunce pack. And if the rat pack was a bunch of swinging cool cats in sunglasses and loose ties, you know, the kind of look that got this guy elected in the first place, then the dunce pack surely must be the name of his posse. And so with a little less than 2.5 years of new scandals yet to swamp us, let's take a look at what the perpetual adolescent called to do a man's job has accomplished so far. His only real legislative achievement, Obamacare, is the definition of foul-up mismanagement and failure. People did not get to keep their plans as he promised again and again. The website not only failed and kept failing, the dunce pack was told in advance it would fail, but they opened it anyway. And seemingly every day, the boy king waves his fingers and the law is changed by royal decree. And when I say change, I mean delayed. Every time, delayed until after this person has gone, because after him, the deluge. Domestically, he's presided over the weaponization of the most intrusive and horrid institution the United States government has ever produced, the IRS. He's authorized the National Security Agency to monitor every text, phone call, and email sent by any American citizen to anyone at any time in direct contravention of our Fourth Amendment rights. He directs his Attorney General as to which laws are to be enforced and which laws are to be ignored, often based on either the political affiliation or skin color of those under their monocle, and the dunce pack approves enthusiastically. He spends money he does not have, about 40 cents on every dollar, to buy things to give to the great unwashed masses in exchange for their adoration. Who ends up paying for all of this? Well, young people, of course, but that doesn't concern him, because after him, the deluge. Now, of course, he can't spend all of those trillions on his own. He needs help. The Wikipedia quote for Louis XV's administrators reads, quote, "Finance ministers soon became expert swindlers, cheating and extorting on a grand scale. The peasants worked till they dropped, and citizens were forced to pay huge taxes," unquote. The flood, the deluge, the sea that's going to envelop all of us when he's gone is actually a sea of red ink. He gives away things he hasn't paid for, and young people will pay for things that they're not going to get. And worst of all, the weakness of this man is doing incalculable, really unimaginable damage overseas, and we're a long way from being done yet. By not responding forcefully in the Middle East, he encourages Russian adventurism in the Crimea. By not responding to Russia in the Crimea, he emboldens radicals to retake in a week or two what took us 5 years of blood and effort in Iraq. And this is just the beginning, because where he once looked disinterested and then nervous and then scared, well, now He looks overwhelmed, panicked, and confused, and our enemies, from Somali pirates to Chinese nuclear sub-skippers, are suddenly waking up to the happy realization that 11 American carrier strike groups that the president is not willing to deploy is functionally equivalent to 11 American carrier strike groups sunk and at the bottom of the ocean. And when the rest of our adversaries who hated and feared President Bush, who merely hate President Obama, see that our entire military is as defanged as if by an EMP strike, that the sword, however sharp, is being held by an infant, well then all hell is going to break loose. Not that he cares. After him, you see, after him comes the flood.
There's never been a day in the last 4 years I've been proud to be his vice president.
For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm proud of my country.
Do me a favor, could you say senator instead of ma'am?
Yes.
It's just a thing. I worked so hard to get that title.
But resist, we must, and we will much about that be committed.
Maybe corpsman Bouchard.
A three-letter word, jobs. J-O-B-S, jobs. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chain.
Under my plan of a cap and trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
It is the last hour of the program on a Friday, which means there's a lot of house cleaning to do. But you can still interrupt me and change the subject all you want. Let's get to this. My name is Glenn Woods. Bold Republic is on the radio. And yeah, you can call me, of course, 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. And you can also do what, and I'm going to be answering this next, Chris just did, which is leave me a message right off. If you're watching by video, click on the video, just that little link that you see there. A new window comes up and you can leave me a message, and I'll take that just like a phone call.
What I didn't hear in that was an apology to this committee.
I don't think an apology is owed. Not a single email has been lost since the start of this investigation. Every email has been preserved that we have produced or will produce by the end of this.
You don't think the time period between January 2009 and April 2011 is relevant to this investigation?
It is a very relevant time.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. The letter we received from the IRS on Friday the 13th admitted that learners...
See, this is what we're still doing in hearings right now. All right, so, I mean, even they're trying to say, we've imagine that lie right in front of Congress, right there in the hearing room. We've given you every email. Oh, so the 3 years that are missing from lowest learned, it didn't mean anything, huh? But you've given us every email. Chris just sent me this. And again, you can do this if you're watching by video. Click on the link. You can send me a message. He brings up a great point. And I mentioned this the other day, but I never remember to mention it on the air. So thanks, Chris, for this, because I kept forgetting to bring this up on air. During the hearings, the majority of people were outraged by Nixon tapes. Remember the Nixon tapes now. Now, for those who don't know, if you're that young, first off, bite me. I was a kid during the Nixon years. I remember this. Nixon, I don't know why, he was obsessed with reel-to-reel tape. And so Nixon had everything. He bugged his own office. And he just had his secretary rolling tape, and everything that was going on in the Oval Office was recorded on reel-to-reel tape. I wonder how many times, by the way, do you think the toilet flush was? I doubt they had a microphone in the bathroom, which would have been really interesting when Bill was in there with Monica. But okay, I doubt they had a microphone in the bathroom, but still. When Richard Nixon would go to the bathroom, because there is a Oval Office bathroom, he would flush the toilet and come walking out of the door. And I would bet the sound of the toilet swirling and flushing would be caught on the recorder. You think that maybe they got that? And then you could tell whether Nixon had washed his hands or not by how quickly did the door open. Did you hear the sound of the door compared to when you heard the toilet flush? I'm just tossing that out. I wonder if I could get a hold of the Nixon tapes, if they're out there somewhere. Has someone loaded them up online so I can listen? Maybe. I think that's probably the case. I want to listen for those toilet flushes to see if we can hear them. That's the kind of investigative journalism I would like to get into, which is why no one would ever hire me as an investigative journalist. But anyway, let's get back to Chris's question. So, okay, Nixon recorded everything. So as the Watergate thing was developing, Nixon was about to get off with it. I mean, he was scot-free. They couldn't prove a thing. And then somebody found out, oh, wait a minute, you mean Nixon records everything? Yes, he does. Well, let's get those tapes. Funny thing, there's about 12 minutes that were erased out of the tape. Just gone. 12 very important minutes that were just erased that would convict Richard Nixon. And they're just gone. Now, Nixon's excuse was the record button, to make it easy for the secretary, they actually gave her like a foot pedal. Not a button, but more like almost looked like a little gas pedal under her desk. So whenever she went to start or stop the recorder, she could just reach over with her foot and just tap the foot pedal. Just click, and the recorder's on, and click, the recorder's off. So Nixon's excuse was, well, our secretary, God bless her, accidentally kicked the foot pedal. And so those 12 minutes were not there, and I see. Which doesn't make sense, because that means that the recorder would have stopped and then restarted. And so there wouldn't have been a 12-minute gap. You see what I'm saying? If she had accidentally kicked the pedal, the reel-to-reel would have stopped. You wouldn't have heard 12 minutes of nothing while the tape rolls. You would have heard a little in the conversation, and suddenly they would have been talking about something else, because the tape would have stopped and started. So why would there be a 12-minute gap? Well, that means that somebody sat down with the tapes and intentionally erased 12 minutes. Oh, people were outraged. Everybody could obviously see what was going on. Nobody believed Nixon anymore. Anybody who did believe Nixon at the time, nobody believed him anymore. Come on. Now literally you're lying like a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old. You're lying. And everybody knows you're lying. All right. I don't really need to go back and review this, but let's take Chris's point about nobody's believing the IRS. Nobody is believing the IRS. And yet, like a bunch of little children, they continue to lie about this. So let's take a real quick look at what they're trying to say. Well, those emails that you requested, the hard drive for Lois Lerner crashed. Okay, well, maybe her hard drive crashed, but that doesn't mean anything, because an email is not kept on the computer that's on Lois Lerner's desk. Well, the servers, yeah, okay, let's take a look at those servers where those emails would be stored. But in order for an email to travel through the system, it goes through several servers, which means those emails are logged in many different places. Then the people who receive the emails, it's logged in several different places because of them. And and you're assuming Lois Lerner and other people are emailing back and forth just on the computers on their desk, not necessarily. Because government hands them cell phones, and yes, they still use Blackberries, and so they have all sorts of other devices that they're using. And so emails are logged through them in so many different ways. So in other words, those emails still exist. Then comes the lame excuse. Oh, and by the way, you can go, if a hard drive crashes, you can recover the information off of the hard drive. Yes, okay, and by the way, it happens to be the 6, not just Lois Lerner, this is why I said 7 total. Lois Lerner plus 6 other people under investigation. The hard drives for just those people happen to crash. Now you're really getting childish with the excuse. So, okay, once we discovered, this is what the IT guys, this is what Lee was asking about. So the hard drive crashes. So you went to recover the data, right? Well, no, as soon as we found that the hard drive crashed, we immediately destroyed the hard drives. Why? Why would you do that? And that was that audible gasp in the room. You did what? Okay, so Richard Nixon took the tape in question, the real tape in question, and he just threw it in the fireplace. Well, there was a 12-minute gap, so I destroyed the whole tape. How do you think that would have went over? Now let's go back to what we were having fun with before. The IRS calls you and they want information on your taxes from 1998. But my hard drive crashed. Well, we'll recover it from your hard drive, and it's obviously in other places too. It's not just on your hard drive. Yeah, but I destroyed that computer, so it doesn't exist anymore. Is the IRS going to put up with that excuse? And the answer is absolutely not. Now let's go back to what Paul Ryan was saying as he got into a confrontation with this little weasel that took Lois Lerner's place at the IRS.
Mr. Ryan's recognized for 5 minutes. This is unbelievable. The apology that ought to be given is to the American taxpayer, not to a government agency that is abusing its power. I am sitting here listening to this testimony. I don't believe it. That's your problem. Nobody believes you.
Come on now.
The Internal Revenue Service comes to Congress a couple years ago and misleads us and says no targeting is occurring. Then it said it was a few rogue agents in Cincinnati. Then it said it was also on progressives. All of those things have been proven untrue. This committee sent a criminal referral of possible criminal wrongdoing just a month ago to the Justice Department. We've heard nothing. You bury in a 27-page letter to the Senate asking for them to conclude the investigation that you've lost Lois Lerner's emails during the time in question because of a hard drive crash.
Now, he goes on and on like this and eventually gets into a fight with this guy. But think about that now. And this is what kills me. This is why I was asking, what do you think would happen to you? They want your tax records from 1998. I don't have them anymore. They've been destroyed. What would happen to you? Okay. Well, if you were to turn to them and say, I don't have those records anymore, so let's just forget the whole thing. I was back up and do that again. I want you to think about it. You say to the IRS, I don't have the records for 1998 anymore, so let's just forget the whole thing. What kind of reaction are you going to get? All right. But they expect that kind of treatment. Well, the hard drive crashed. Nobody buys it. And we had to destroy the hard drive because it crashed. What? So just forget the whole thing. Okay, not just no, but how about hell no? All right, so at this point, and this is what worries me about this whole thing. I was talking about this with a friend last night. Here's what really, and I talked to you guys about this yesterday too. This whole thing bothers me in this way. At some point, they're going to get those emails. I like the congressman that said, well, we'll just let the prosecutors find the emails. Because he's right. These emails are not gone. They're out there on multiple sources. And we'll get them. So they haven't done anything. They haven't hidden anything. Once they get the emails, though, do you really think that something's going to happen to Lois Lerner? I don't think that anything really is still going to happen to her. What will happen, if any, I mean, she's already retired from this. But if anything, she'll be rewarded for it. I mean, how many times have we seen this? Somebody gets in this kind of trouble in Washington, D.C., and they're not punished for it. Either they're reassigned, or they get a promotion, or they get a bonus, or in some way they're rewarded. They can't even fire someone. Remember the guy at the EPA I told you folks about? The guy at the EPA who was watching porn at work. He was supposed to be working. I don't know doing what. Instead, he was watching porn. So what do? Do they fire him? No, they don't. You can't fire him. No, you can't do that. Why not? Why not just let him? Are you? And I watched a congressman. Are you his supervisor? Yes, sir, I am. Why don't you fire him? Well, I don't know if I have the authority, and the process is kind of long to actually fire someone. Here's how you fire somebody. Tell him to pack his desk and get lost and then quit sending him checks. That's how you fire someone. Government can't even do that. So once they finally get the evidence on Lois Lerner, what do you think? And they'll get it. What do you think is going to happen to her? I don't have any confidence that anything is actually going to happen to her. Matt Long just sent me a note here. It says, we the people should barge in their offices with no warrant and guns pointed at them, arrest and threat. Oh, no, let's not forget, Matt, tase them while we're at it, threaten them, and throw them outside in their underwear at gunpoint, because that's happened to American citizens. Take what we want, charge them with transparency evasions and other miscellaneous charges. And I would even go a step further, Matt, and say, just like the EPA does, just make up charges when we arrive on the scene. Then bankrupt them, he says. Well, you would have to bankrupt them personally. I guess that's what you're talking about, Matt, because they've already bankrupted the entire country. But yeah, bankrupt them, then throw into prison. And I would think that turnabout's fair play, because you're right, man. That's exactly what they do to us.
Woods. BoldRepublic.com.
Kevin, where are you taking me?
Keep your eyes closed. Okay, now open them.
Where am I? Am I dreaming?
No, you've been here before. This is Jack's Liquor and Bar.
It can't be. The carpet, the bar, the paint, it's so beautiful.
No, you're not dreaming, Tom. They've really spruced up the place.
I love it here. My old stomping ground has become my new hideaway.
When you're in Gillette, stop by the new Jack's Liquor, 302 East 2nd Street, across from Napa Auto Parts.
They also upgrade bartender.
I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance? Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And, of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002.
You fell in love with her on your first date, that 3-hour dinner at a Greek restaurant. And at evening's end, you couldn't help but wonder, was she the one for you? Today you know she is, and you realize that she's yours for the asking. This is Bruce at Marshall Jewelry. So ask already, but first comes to us, of course, for the setting, the diamond, and the expertise to help you make it perfect. Then on to that moment that you've been imagining, and so has she. She's yours for the asking. We're open 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it, guaranteed.
So say you're a little company with some big ideas, and you'd like to get your advertising out there. Well, come on with me. This is American Standard Media. See, and normally to get this kind of service, you'd have to go to some big city market, but we do all of it right here in little old Wyoming. And because we don't have to pay big city rent and big city taxes, we can pass those savings on to you. We help your business out in all sorts of ways. We can produce radio ads for you, television commercials, YouTube videos. We even produce a syndicated radio show out of our own studios that's heard across the West. So if you're a small business that has big ideas and you'd like to find a way to advertise them, come on by and see what we can do for you at American Standard Media, located in Gillette, Wyoming, Highway 59, right behind Visionary Wireless. Give us a call to find out more. 307-363-4093. Then be sure to visit our website, AmericanStandardMedia.com. We can help you with your website too.
Hello, Americans. This is Rod with My Made in America store. Huge thank you to all our veterans out there as we pass the 70th anniversary of D-Day on Omaha Beach. God bless our veterans. Show your colors. Fly your flag. Tell your oil patch friends we carry FR jeans and shirts. Camp cooks, check out our Lodge cast iron cookware. American-made products equal American jobs. 203 Cary Avenue. Come on in, past the construction. We're still here. God bless America, and remember, buy American. Matters.
When you dance like nobody is watching. And when you call Glenn, talk like the NSA and IRS are listening. Because most likely they are.
Guess who?
And they haven't had their daily dose of irreverent, insulting sarcasm today. We're counting on you. Call the show now.
Or if you don't want to call the show now, you can call the show. Phones are still open, 307-363-4093. Or you can do what Matt and Lee and a few others did. Just go ahead, and if you're watching on video, click on the link that you'll see on the screen. A new window opens up, and you can leave questions, comments, obnoxious, snotty remarks. I'll take it all at this point. I'm going to pick up a little bit more on what Matt was just saying. You know, we do have in Washington, D.C., from the politicians to the bureaucrats, again, a culture of bureaucracy an elitist culture, this is what the founders were trying to protect us from. This is why government remains limited. This is why, as tempting as it is, and it is real tempting to have government solve your problems. I can't afford health care, so I'm going to get government to get me health care. I can't afford a telephone, so we'll get the Obama phone. I mean, whatever the case is, I can't afford, I can't do, so I'm going to get government to do. That's really tempting. But every time you do that, these people take more of your money and put more restrictions on your life. It's dangerous. It's harder to solve it yourself, but it's better that you do. What you end up with is what we have now. We have a culture of bureaucracy. We have an elitist, a royal class that exists in Washington, D.C. And they want to rule over you. Now, the rules do not apply to them. They don't. The rules don't apply to them. Oh, well, they pass Obamacare but want to exempt themselves. By the way, remember, it was the IRS. The IRS who went before a committee meeting, do you remember this? After the passage of Obamacare, and it's the IRS who wanted, they have to enforce the thing. They have to enforce Obamacare, right? And the IRS asked to be exempted from it. Stop and think about that for a minute. The people charged with enforcing Obamacare want to be exempt from it. Even the unions who helped shove it down our throats wanted to be exempt from it. Congress wanted to be exempt from it. They wanted their staff to be exempt from it. They pushed for that. We had to raise holy hell to get them to, well, to live under the same law they passed for us. But how many laws out there do bureaucrats not have to obey? Rand Paul just said, in fact, let me call that story up while I'm talking to you, because Rand Paul was talking about this the other day, and normally I wouldn't have mentioned it, not because I like Rand Paul, so it's not that. It's just that we've said it so many times before. Congress is continually passing laws that they want to exempt themselves from, and the bureaucrats are the same way. This is what I mean by culture of bureaucracy. These rules are not supposed to apply to them. And he says in this, the enemy is too often us. According to a Gallup poll, just 7% of Americans say they have either a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in Congress. I would bet that most of those people work for government or have someone in their family that works for government. So it makes little sense for Rand Paul to criticize his colleagues on the run-up likely for the White House, because he might run. He says, quote, I can tell you without exaggeration that I've met the enemy, and the enemy is too often us. Now, he said that in a speech. It says Friday. I'm not sure. I think that was actually today. Well, anyway, the speech called for the Freedom Coalition called "The Road to the Majority" is when he was talking. Many of the speakers talked about populist things, blue-collar jobs, stuff like that. But Rand Paul said they passed 100-page bills that nobody reads. You and I have talked about this extensively. No bill should ever be passed until it's read. Congress routinely passes laws they exempt themselves from. Over time, many politicians become distant from their constituents, mainly. Okay. So, and again, we've talked about this. This is why I didn't bring it up as a topic originally, but Matt, you reminded me of this. These people don't consider themselves us. Okay, we are the flatheads in flyover country for those who live, or in the West, like I'm living right now. But they don't consider. Well, in the Southerners, Southerners, those rubes out there. These people in Washington D.C. give themselves exorbitant salaries, hefty pensions, okay, bonuses. Oh my God, the IRS bonuses. They don't consider themselves us. They can get away with cheating on their taxes, not paying their taxes, lying before Congress. Oops, lost the hard drive. They don't consider themselves us. They don't think that they have to play by the same rules. Does that upset you? It should. Here's the big news. Their government job should have never existed in the first place.
The federal government is massive, wasteful, and growing larger every year. It's time to downsize the federal government. The Department of Agriculture was established in 1862 and is responsible for operating federal policy on farming, agriculture, forestry, and food. Today, the department spends more than $150 billion a year. That's $1,300 per American family. The department is effectively a massive transfer program moving cash from taxpayers to selected constituencies and establishing barriers to free trade, even trade within the United States. Many of the department's programs originated in the Great Depression, and the need for such a department is in decline. In 1900, there were 11 million Americans employed on farms and 2,900 employed by the USDA. Today, there are 2 million employed on farms and 93,000 employed by the USDA. The Department of Agriculture distributes up to $20 billion in subsidies to farmers and owners of farmland every year, and more than 90% of agricultural subsidies go to farmers of just 5 crops: wheat, corn, soybeans, rice, and cotton. And it's worth noting that farm incomes are typically quite high. In 2011, the average income in farm households was $87,000 a year. That's 25% higher than the average American household. And farm subsidies go to millionaires like Ted Turner and Mark Rockefeller. The government enforces cartels in products such as dairy and sugar, which enriches producers at the expense of consumers. It is corporate welfare at its worst. The dairy and sugar cartels are like Soviet-style central planning, involving price controls, production allotments, and import barriers. As a result, Americans pay higher prices for the food they consume. After raising prices for food, the department then subsidizes its consumption. The largest portion of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's budget consists of subsidies like school lunch programs and food stamps. Food stamps alone have more than tripled in spending since 2000, and oversight costs more than $5 billion a year. These programs have also given rise to rampant fraud. Law-breaking retailers have offered 50 cents on the dollar for food stamps, and even with more sophisticated debit cards, the government estimates that fraudulent payments cost more than $1 billion a year. Food stamps and food subsidy programs should be sent back to state and local governments so they can determine how much to spend. Agricultural subsidies should be eliminated entirely, and the Byzantine system of price support programs that raise prices and limit competition should also be cast aside. By eliminating or devolving these programs, federal taxpayers can save about $140 billion a year. For more information about the Department of Agriculture and other government programs, visit downsizinggovernment.org, a project of the Cato Institute.
Stop! Did you get permission to do that?
What? I just need to use the bathroom.
Well, in today's America, you pretty much need permission from the government to do everything.
I need permission to go number 2?
Have you thought of the environmental impact of what you're about to do?
I'm thinking I'm going to explode if I don't.
How can you be sure if you're breaking the law? Or do you need a permit?
I don't think I care at this point, so how do I get government permission to use the toilet?
Well, now, brought to you by the same people who created the Obamacare website, there's an app for that.
I think it just crashed. I really don't have time for this.
Yes, just hold up this handy cell phone app and ask, can I do that?
It crashed again. Come on, I can't hold it this long.
And a handy list of government agencies will cascade down before your eyes, complete with all the paperwork you're going to need to fill out, fees, government studies, and estimated time until your application process is done. Now that the paperwork is complete and you've paid your fines and fees, you can go ahead.
I think I already did.
So let's see what happens if I just go ahead and call the offices of the NSA. That's odd.
Hello, Glenn. This is the NSA.
I was just
going to call us? Right. We heard.
Well, this can't possibly get any creepier.
We thought we would save you the trouble of looking the number up, sir. By the way, you shouldn't wear that color of shirt on camera.
It's the last half hour-ish of the program. My name is Glenn Woods. Bold Republic is on. Phone number 307-363-4093, or you can do what other people have done if you're watching by video. Click on the link. You'll see it there on the screen, and you can go ahead and leave questions, comments, remarks, whatever you'd like to do. So one last thing, and I'm going to get on, unless you guys want to change the subject back, one last thing about the IRS. And you know, it actually encompasses, I'm still picking up on the note Matt sent. It encompasses more than just the IRS. How do we get rid of all of this nonsense? Now, I left just before the break, I left you with the comment. What these people in D.C. don't seem to understand is their job was never supposed to exist in the first place. And they act as if we can't live without them. You know, it's like an abusive spouse. They act as if we can't live without them. But the truth of the matter is we would be better off without them. And they don't want to hear that. When you turn to them and say, no, not only can I live without you, I'm better off without you. That really drives them crazy. And just like an abusive spouse, you know what they want to do? They want to punish us for daring to suggest such a thing. And that is exactly what's going on here right now. What is the only possible answer? Well, the only real answer is to go back to what this country was founded for in the first place, limited government. Now, this is where, so you know, I have this conversation even with liberals at times, and it is such an easy conversation to have, okay, because I'm a very conservative thinker, but really what I am, more than anything else, is a limited government guy. And so I turn to very hardcore socialist liberal friends of mine, and I ask, should the government tell you whether you are allowed to drink raw milk or not? Should the government tell you what school you have to go to? Should the government ever be able to force you into any kind of a government program that you don't want to be a part of? If you do go to buy Whole Foods somewhere, organic food, let's say, should the government show up with guns pointed and knock you to the ground and take that food out back and destroy it? Or do you have the right to buy the kind of food that you want to put in your own body? Now, even hardcore liberals understand what I'm talking about. The only answer here then is to limit the size of government. You want to get rid of the problems at the IRS? Simple. The IRS shouldn't exist. And if you're wondering, well, then how do we collect taxes for what we do need from government? Well, and the answer is there are ways to do it without the IRS. I mentioned, look up something, go to fairtax.org. Fairtax.org. There is a way for the government to collect taxes without having an IRS. They just would not be necessary. And there are so many other government agencies we can just shut down. No, we don't need them. Yes, we are actually better off without them. Yes, we are better off when we make our own decisions, and those people in government do not want to hear this. They want to be in control of you, your money. You're not supposed to be making these decisions on your own. And by God, and just like the abusive spouse, when you catch them lying and cheating and stealing from you, they blame you. They lie and cheat and steal more to cover it up than they blame you for the problem. This is what we're dealing with here. Government has become an abusive spouse, a wife beater, and we're the wife. And the only way this mess gets cleaned up is to finally start, and this is where it's on us, not on them. Because you can explain it to them until you're blue in the face, and they are never going to get it. Abusive spouses never do. The only way we're going to clean up this mess is to start electing people to office who are actually in favor of limited government, government out of your life. Get those people in office. Start closing down these government agencies and the bureaucracy. Not only do you get your freedoms and liberties back, get a load of this, ready? We can even balance the budget.
Some mechanics can tell what's wrong with your car just by listening to what noises it makes. At Ideal Auto, our mechanics can do that. Plus, they can tell what's wrong with your car by the noises you make. Is there something wrong with your car and you just don't have the words to describe it? Just bring your best sound effects to Ideal Auto. At Ideal Auto, no job is too big or too small. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Come see Johnny, Lynn, and the boy. 2901 Dogwood Avenue, Gillette, Wyoming. 686-2259. Corn, domestic, diesel. Yeah, we can fix that too.
Daydreaming, son. It's time to get prepared. Time to get off your sofa and run yourself down to Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders building. Oh, my. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Civilian soldier, they got everything you could need. That's right, the Surplus is unlimited. Surplus Unlimited ammo for babies and adults.
That's right, babies need camo too.
10 different styles of camo.
Oh, don't you look pretty.
550 cord, numerous colors, wool blankets, boots, hats, gloves, coats, shirts, tactical vests and belts, camping supplies, high-quality army cots, and that hard-to-find P38 can opener. Save time, save money. Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders building. 801 Carlisle on the Douglas Highway across from the fishing lake. Gillette, Wyoming.
Hey, want a new way to sell your product or service? Well, Letterbuck Trading Post is your answer. Sell your product or service on our online store. We will do all the work, and you get to grow your customer base. All Powder River Basin businesses are welcome. Maximize your business sell potential the Western way at the Letterbuck Trading Post. Just go online to letterbucktradingpost.com. That's Letterbuck with an ER, buck, tradingpost.com, or stop in to the Campbell County Observer office at 1001 South Douglas Highway, next to the Living Rock Church, behind Subway in Gillette. Let the Letterbuck Trading Post work for you.
Ah, summertime. You know, the great outdoors. You know what half the fun is with getting away from it all? Shopping. I mean, we're talking guns, bows, arrows, knives, camping equipment, from tents to sleeping bags, clothing, bug spray, fishing line, lures, tackle bait, cooking equipment, MREs, even all the latest electronic gadgets, and they've got it all at Rocky Mountain Discount Sports with locations throughout Wyoming. So no matter what you need, before you head out into the great outdoors, do some shopping. That's half the fun, isn't it? Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, conveniently located in Gillette, Wyoming, on South Douglas Highway and 1351 CY Drive in Casper.
Come on, don't act like you don't know how this works. Glenn sits in a padded room, talks to himself, and guess what? You are the voices in his head. It's really creepy, but it works. Let's get back in there. Glenn Woods is back on the air.
Okay, so the last 15 minutes-ish, a couple more than that of the program. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Oh, by the way, for those watching on video, take a look real quick here. This is, yeah, I love it when he does this. Tim from Tampa did this latest one here. Well, that's my face in the middle, of course. I wonder if he's going to put me on Bonanza. Why did I have to be Hoss? And his answer was, well, you're certainly not Little Joe. Yeah, but I've always liked the brother that wore all the black. I never was that much of a Hoss fan. I never was a Little Joe fan. But I like the brother who wore all the black, even though he wasn't in every single episode. But okay. That's just funny as hell, though. So I like displaying these things around, especially. And he did the other one. Let me go back to one of the others that Tim did to see if I can. Oh, yeah. This is the one where I'm sitting on the steel girder. And the only thing is I'm wearing a winter coat. Nobody else there is. Now, if you haven't seen these before, then for those listening on radio, then I guess you got to go watch the video sometime. BoldRepublic.com. You'll see on the YouTube page. There's all the videos of the shows. And there's a lot of things that people who watch the show get to see that people on radio don't. A conservation group is suing Obama. Oh, the administration. So in other words, liberal conservationists are suing the Obama administration over the federal rule that allows wind energy companies to seek approval for killing or injuring birds for 30 years. Well, good. You know what I really like about this? It's not a conservative group that's stepping forward to sue the Obama administration over this just absolutely. It's a liberal group that's doing it. Oh, that must really burn, huh? The group argues that the rule, which extended by 25 years the length of time companies may kill or injure bald eagles without fear of prosecution, is illegal because the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services failed to evaluate the consequences and ensure it would not damage eagle populations. The Obama administration classified the rule, which, by the way, of course, is a law, as an administrative change and excluding it from environmental review, which, again, is illegal. They just decided, well, okay, we're still going to go after, even though, let's say, a bird dies around someplace where you're drilling for oil, and even if you do the right thing, if you own that property, you own the rig, you do the right thing, and you give the bird to Fish and Wildlife and clean up the mess and all that kind of stuff, they still come down on you with full force like a hammer on your head. But we're going to give a 30-year pass to wind turbines. By the way, oil fields, coal, gas don't kill that much wildlife. It really, I'm sorry for those environmentalists out there, it really doesn't. But wind turbines, you're talking about 500,000 birds a year just gone. And apparently, now, and let's stop for a minute and look at this. The Obama administration claims that they are environmentalists. Well, what do you think now? Okay, so as that lawsuit progresses, I'll let you know. I'm trying to do a little bit of house cleaning here because we got off on one main subject for most of the show, so which is okay. Disability beneficiaries. This would be Social Security disability. Every time they lower the unemployment number, all I have to do is turn to you guys and say, oh, look, Social Security disability, there's more people than ever before. It's just interesting. The unemployment number goes down. What a coincidence. At the same time, there are more people on Social Security disability. Now there are 11,004,507 people. Wow, it's topped 11 million. 11,004,507 people on Social Security disability. Now, I also gave you a story earlier this week. For those who missed it, let me review real quick. Social Security administration is starting to close down offices around the country. Florida's been hardest hit by it. And they're closing down these offices and also cutting back on some services. Why would they do something like that? It's because they're running out of money. I guarantee you they're going to run out of money faster. They are going to run out of money faster than they originally predicted. Okay, they're just not saying it out loud, but you know that this is the case. And especially as we keep dumping more. Oh, and let's not forget the illegals coming across the border. Oh, trust me, they'll find their way onto these programs too. They will. We'll end up paying for them too, which will just drive the Social Security Administration bankrupt even faster. So for those people who are expecting to collect Social Security, and the reason for this is your government overpromises everything, and then they can't deliver, which is why I said, and just don't count on them. Don't. And if you're wondering, and I've had people ask, well, what would you do? Shut down Social Security? It should have never been started in the first place. I'm not for leaving people out in the cold who are currently on it, but we can't keep adding people to it. Understand? One that's going to send a shiver up your spine. The Wicked Witch of the West, that would be, I'm sorry, I'm going to say her name, that would be Nancy Pelosi, says, I pray for Republicans every Sunday. And now we know the problem. As Nancy Pelosi, the Wicked Witch of the West, draws her, this is what she said, draws her pentagram, lights her candles every Sunday. Well, that would be the Satanic Sabbath, not the regular Sunday, and probably kills a dove, and then prays for the Republicans. Now we know what the problem is with the Republican Party. I've been wondering for years how their spines have just disappeared into thin air. Now we know. She's casting some damn spell on them or something like that.
Welcome to Wesley Mouch's Liberal Cafe. We have the only menu with fine print, so please read. You must wait to be seated. You cannot choose your own seat because not know where is best for you. Seating is arranged to best obtain the appearance of diversity and tolerance. Before you order, please fill out this form showing that you understand our sexual harassment policies. Notice that all of our staff represents an equal share of gender, race, and sexual preferences. In order to achieve this level of fairness, we have more staff than we need. Please give them something to do. You can look at the menu, but your order will be made for you because you do not know what is best for you. Menu in English upon request. The staff is paid no matter what, and all pay is equal to make it fair. Therefore, they have no incentive to work harder for you, so service sucks, and so does the food. Those who do not show up at the diner are sent bills for what they should have spent, and rather high bills for tips as well. When you tip, remember, quality of service does not matter. Tips are split up evenly between the waitresses to make it fair. Rich people who don't really eat in places like this are charged more and must pay for the meals of those who are less fortunate. They also must cover all tips, including their own and those who have not eaten yet but are assumed to be showing up soon. Since no one really wants to eat here, Wesley Mouch's Liberal Cafe is losing money big time, and so is subsidized by the government. Because most of the money is eaten up by the bureaucracy, very little of it actually gets to the diner. Interestingly, though, more and more money is allocated every year, but less and less seems to make it.
This restaurant is union run. You will be back. We are not asking. Come visit the Liberal Cafe today. Either way, you're paying for it. It's the last 7 minutes of the program. My name is Glenn Woods. This is Bold Republic. Now, don't forget, as I've told you before, but please don't forget, first off, this Sunday, if you're in the Gillette, Wyoming area or within driving distance of it, please stop by Sunday, Dalby Memorial Park. Just a bunch of us are going to be there. Starting at 11 o'clock, we're pretty much going to party all day long, and it's all to raise money for a little girl who needs a van with a wheelchair lift. And I'll be in the dunk tank, taking one for the team. So please stop by and visit us again at Dalby Memorial Park, also known as the Fishing Pond, and we'll be there Sunday starting at 11 o'clock. So, all right. And a lot of people don't know this. You know, if you go to my website, boldrepublic.com, front page, I don't know why you don't know, but there it is, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and even the Daily Weirdness page, all of that's right there available to you on the front page. Reading assignment, all of that. And I keep adding stuff during the course of the weekend. So information, show, entertainment, all of that kind of stuff. Just go to the YouTube page and have a good time with it. All right? So I don't take many days off. I really don't. Well, that's because I like what I do. Inside the grand old party, the question is, where do you stand on Common Core? I'm just going to nail this one real quick as I'm doing some house cleaning. I had Amy Edmonds on from Wyoming Liberty Group yesterday as she talked about Common Core, and we're winning. And this is a litmus test, among other things, when it comes to if you're going to vote for that Republican or not. Where do you stand on Common Core? Don't give me a 10-minute answer. Are you a supporter of Common Core? Would you vote yes or no on Common Core? And that's it. Would you vote yes or no on Common Core? That's the litmus test. And for those who, I get a kick out of those who say, well, there shouldn't be a litmus test for it. Yes, there should be. Always got a kick out of that. There shouldn't be a litmus test for Supreme Court justices. Yes, there should be, in fact. There should be a litmus test for Supreme Court justices. All right. Woman faces life in prison for stopping a car to help ducks and causing the crash that kills 2. Okay. Well, what I want to know at the end, I mean, I hate this, but I don't think she did it intentionally. And I really want to know, did she kill the ducks? This is in Montreal Friday, ruled against a 25-year-old Quebec woman who was on trial for stopping her car at a busy highway to rescue some ducklings and causing a crash that killed a motorcyclist and the motorcyclist's teenage daughter. Now, I want to find out about the appeal to this one, because as far as I'm concerned, I mean, if she didn't intentionally try to kill someone, why should she face life in prison? And I still want to know, did the ducks die? I don't know if the ducks died or not. We did not know. 9 times the Obama administration was blindsided about things they did not know about. Number 1, Islamist militants gaining power in Iraq. They didn't know about it. I was reporting on that. I knew about that. I'm not even in the White House. Russian interventionists in the Ukraine. Obama administration says didn't know about it. Had no clue. NSA spying on foreign leaders. Didn't know about it. No clue. We just didn't know. Okay. I bet you they knew about all of this, but VA waiting list scandal. Obama administration just says, we didn't know about the VA waiting list scandal. Now, you see, stuff like this is untrue. Let me take the VA thing. The president was talking about this back when he was a senator, but he comes now and says, we didn't know. He campaigned when he talked in front of veterans. He said to the veterans, we need to end these waiting lists. Now, what he didn't know about was the alternate lists, but he knew about the wait times and campaigned on it. Okay. Let's see. IRS targeting scandal. Didn't know about it. Isn't it interesting that some of the emails that are missing are emails to President Obama? This is your Watergate thing right here. I'm thinking he knew all about it. I don't have any proof. I just have that gut feeling that he knew all about it. I'd love to find some proof, because this is the next Watergate, including, instead of missing tapes, missing hard drives. It's basically the same thing. Well, think about it. It is the same thing, isn't it? What was Watergate about? Watergate was about some Republicans going into Democrat headquarters at the Watergate Hotel and bugging the place to try to find information to influence the campaign, because Nixon is running for president, the Democrats, and so on. Okay, it was all about the elections. What was the IRS scandal? Well, we're going to go after conservative groups, and we're going to target them. Same thing, isn't it? Because we're in an election year, and we can't have these Tea Party groups out there actually doing some damage to the Democrat cause. And just like in the Nixon era, whoops, the Nixon tape had 12 minutes missing. In this case, oh, that hard drive is missing. Yeah, we accidentally destroyed it. It's the same case. This is the Democrats' Watergate. Last few, healthcare.gov failing. Obama didn't know about it, he says. Department of Justice, AP phone records. Well, the president says he didn't know about that. Fast and Furious scandal. Oh, the president was blindsided. He heard about it on the news, had no knowledge of it beforehand. Air Force One overfly Manhattan. That's a whole nother, well, they did it for a photo op thing. And once again, the president, until the last minute, I didn't know about that. I didn't, okay. So apparently this president is Benghazi. They didn't include Benghazi. Well, he thought that was some internet video thing. All right. Keep up with me on the website all weekend long. Lots to post. I'll see you guys Monday other than that.